And a good afternoon. Welcome to Leederville Oval. A fine day, cloudy, but no chance of rain today. A breeze blowing across the ground and favouring the city end. Maybe a 2-goal breeze in favour of Claremont. Claremont in second position. West Perth knocking on the door as far as the top four is concerned, and with a great chance today here of upsetting a more fancy Claremont side. West Perth coming off a big win against Swan Districts, and Claremont, of course, annihilating East Perth last week. No changes to the side as announced in this morning's paper. And Claremont going to the right-hand side of your screen. Umpire O'Reilly will get this game underway. It's O'Connell and Wasley. Wasley may have won the tap. Thorne scrambles a kick out of the middle as far as Mann. He gets a hand past the guard. Guard pulls it across his body to full forward. Up goes Ridley. And in the first 30 seconds, Claremont a chance of a goal on the board.
6'1" 3/4" his height, by the way, gentlemen. Official from the man himself. And pretty nice piece of play by Peter Mann coming out of the centre.
Ridley from 35 metres puts it through.
Oh.
First goal on the board in the first minute of play. And this is just the start that Tigers would want against West Perth, because they've had the wood on West Perth now for some seasons, even here at Leederville Oval. Claremont a goal. West Perth yet to score.
Yeah, good strong performance by O'Connell in the ruck. Mann at centre half forward, and a beautiful mark by Ridley. By G, he's a promising footballer. I'm not sure he's going to finish up at full forward. I think he's maybe better than that, but doing a good job for Claremont at the moment.
Resting.
Wasley and O'Connell opposed at this centre bounce down. Not the start that West Perth needed. O'Connell over the top of Wasley. It came down to Del Borello, who appeared to be pushed in the back, and now West Perth had the chance to go forward. They were claiming the advantage. That wasn't paid, and so it will come right back to Del Borello, who squares the ball to Hasler. Hasler can go by hand to a teammate. That's O'Brien. O'Brien from left centre wing gets the ball inside 50 metres. Back goes Davies. Williams across the back of the pack. Chance for Claremont to tidy it up through hand. Gets it back in the direction of Beresford. Good shepherd provided by Miles. Infield they go to Cormac. Cormac will go across the face of the goal. That's dangerous, but it'll come off. It's Lewis with the mark. Now Scott. By hand he goes further afield to O'Malley, and O'Malley relieves the pressure for Claremont as they go straight down the centre of the ground, and the man takes a very good mark in opposition to Higgins. That's Richard Higgins.
Higgins will have his time cut out this afternoon, I'd suggest, Wal.
Man in the direction of Ridley, who made good position at the front of the pack but couldn't hold the mark. Hasler across to the members' side of the ground. The target is Mifka, hand closing on him, and Mifka has been paid the mark. No, he's been paid a push in the back.
Mifka and hand should be a good clash, Keith.
Yes, just thinking that myself.
Good pass and a brilliant mark by Williams. Took some treatment from Miles. Very important player, Williams, if West Perth are to do well. Picking it up at bootlace level, a former Claremont player, Urquhart, lost his footing, tackled by Cormac. It spills to hand. At the free kick has been picked out. Urquhart tackled, we're not in possession. From the members' wing. Goes short, the lead is on. And the mark has been wrapped up by Curse. Graham Curse kicks to centre half forward. It's a one-out situation. Big fist from O'Malley. Brings the ball to the ground for Lewis. Lewis bouncing across half back. Puts it across to Brooks. Great game last week from this player. He kicks to centre half forward and finds Mitchell, who's got away from his man. Mitchell kicks over 50. Mann. Gee, he's been elusive early.
He's a strong player, Trevor. He never takes his eye off the ball at any stage. And the flack coming hard and strong then, but he only wanted the ball. He's prepared to take it around the head if he has to. Sign of a good player, good strong player.
He can kick the ball, so 50 metres is going to be offline, but no worries at all with the distance, and possibly an indication of the breeze there, Keith.
Well, Claremont are
blowing
kicking
into
with
that
the
right
breeze.
full forward pocket.
Yeah, that's the dead pocket, the right full forward pocket, a northeasterly breeze.
1-1-7 plays no score for West Perth as yet. 3.5 minutes gone.
Steve Sadowski at full back for the Falcons, kicks in short to O'Brien. He's still way back in the pocket, forced a hand pass over the top of Thorne. Williams has it now. This is Del Borello. They're still in strife. Oh, are they in strife? That's holding the ball. Good decision by umpire O'Reilly. It was not an honest endeavour to get rid of it. And so Cormac will reapply the pressure. He's outside 50 metres. He's about 60 metres from goal.
Scott doing down there?
That's a terrible kick. I'm not sure who it was intended for. Mann's got it. This is guard. and that's out on the full. Claremont overdoing their use of the ball in that situation, and as a result they have lost possession.
Well, Cormac had to kick long, give his big men a fly and his little men a chance to rove the packs, and trying to be too precise.
Del Borello clears the ball out of danger for West Perth. Han is there, but Riggs is too tall.
Clever. Very clever mark indeed. The pass is on to Urquhart. He's backward of left centre wing. Chance for West Perth to build something up from here. All leads covered. Urquhart not sure about his options. Wobbly flat punt falls short. Brooks misses a sitter. Up in the air from Madaffrey. It lands with Hall. He goes defensively to Riggs, and Riggs kicks it very high to 50 at right half forward. Bounces over Owen's head, taken by Cullen. He hooks back on goal, and it bounces through for a behind. The first score on the board to West Perth. They trail by 6 points after 5 minutes of play.
Well, you don't have to make many mistakes to be punished, and Brooks on that occasion tentative in his approach to the ball, losing control, and West Perth taking advantage.
Good clearing kick from Miles. Not sure about the direction. Riggs has been paid the mark. He's a little bit too tall for Thorne this time. So John Riggs from right half forward puts the ball into the pocket. That was intended for Cullen, but Urquhart had to go for it. It fell short, and Claremont are able to force it over the boundary line.
The kicking into the forward line has been too high, Keith. Claremont defence easily able to knock away.
Claremont lead by a straight goal. Chance for Davies. He's run off the ball, and there'll be another throw in, this time about 5 or 6 metres around from West Perth's right hand behind post. O'Connell with front position. Cullen over the back. Good knock by O'Connell. Scott clears. A chance out there for Pike. Away he goes. Down towards centre wing, and Brooks. He wanted to run. Good hand pass to Mann. Gee, they are giving him a lot of room. Mitchell's loose if the kick is the right weight. Just carried Mitchell. Repiccioli backed his judgment. Did it pretty well. Throw in now on Claremont's 50-metre line.
How many kicks to Peter Mann in the opening minutes, Ken?
2 marks, 3 kicks and 1 effective hand pass, and the game's only 6 minutes old, Trevor.
Well, Richard Higgins certainly has to tighten up there. No doubt he's been let know that already. Wosley and Higgins. Higgins brings it down to the front of the pack, taken by Williams. He's tackled from behind and pushed forward. And a free kick to be taken by Malcolm Williams.
Yep. I thought it was holding the ball before it was a push in the back, to be quite honest.
Williams in the last line of defence. Not a great deal of movement. And that's a poor kick, but good work by Higgins. He had plenty of work to do and outmarked Peter Thorne. Kicks along the boundary, again ill-directed. Pike misses the mark. Crumbs still to Nathan Higgins. On to Hall. Hall drives to half forward. Del Borello outmarked by Miles, floating across the front of the pack. He kicks into the middle to David O'Connell, and here come Claremont again.
Good hand pass from O'Connell, finds Thorne. Thorne moving towards the attacking side of the centre square. Not a good kick. Williams got his hand to it. Chance now for Mitchell, cleverly down to guard. They've overdone it. Mann gets it away quickly to Evans. Gets his kick in the nick of time, but he's offline. Perhaps one hand pass too many in there, but a point results. Claremont move to 1-2. West Perth a 1 point.
Well,
So
it
that's, sorry, Keith.
set Evans up on his left foot, didn't it? And he should have done better.
This is Palm. Palm looks up towards centre wing, members side of the ground. Guard is there with him, Hasler, and Claremont have the numbers at ground level. That should have been a free kick to Guard. It's taken by Thorne, chips it infield. They're going very short on the forward line. Cormac has it, not a good hand pass. Curse went without it. Mitchell with a much better hand pass finds Guard. That's kicked to Ridley's advantage, but Sadowski gets in front. Ridley recovers, not as well as Higgins, who gets the ball towards the boundary line. The only player there is Mann. The surface just a little bit slippery. Miles has it, must be running on the ball. Good kick from Jeff Miles. He's got Claremont's second goal. They're 2-2. West Perth are a point.
Well, there's no doubt about his versatility, Jeff Miles, and usually in defence, but obviously he'd be enjoying a run on the ball, and maybe Gerard Neesham trying to freshen a few players up. He has Miles running on the ball, he has Pike on a wing, and I reckon Pike will enjoy that out there this afternoon, and it wouldn't be surprising to me to see him really cut loose out there.
Well, Miles has gone straight back onto the half-back flank, Keith, so I'm not sure what's happened
he
there.
He likes to float down the ground and kick goals. That's
a long way down.
Hallmark of his game, Jeff Miles. And he'll be doing that more than once today if the West Perth forwards don't keep a close check on him. Wasley kicked it straight into O'Malley. It rebounded to Hall, who hand passed in a hurry. Hand bounced away from him. Del Barello committed himself. Now Miles has got it. Hand passes across the half-back line to Lewis. Lewis spins away from Higgins. Well done, Cam Lewis. Kick wasn't a good one, but it finds the target in Cormac. Mitchell, look at this. 20 metres in the clear. Inside 50. He chips it up towards the square. And Ridley and Sadowski were wrestling.
It was intended for Evans.
Well, it was 2-1, and it's gone through for a behind. But luckily, Sadowski didn't give away the kick.
Ridley was shepherding Sadowski to allow Evans to take the mark, and Evans misunderstood the situation.
Sadowski back into play is dangerous. Mithka is there with Hand, and together they force it out 55 metres around from the Claremont goal. 10 minutes gone, 14 points in favour of the Tigers.
You would think someone would pick up Mitchell, wouldn't you? I mean, like, he just doesn't appear to have a man out there. Best on ground last week.
Well, Darren O'Brien's his marksman, and he was 100 yards away from him in that last instance.
Rapaccioli over the top, but it comes straight down to guard. Pike has it now, goes towards centre half forward, and this is Hand. And I was just about to say, Keith, I can't believe the lack of pressure in the West Perth defence.
Absolutely nil. Last time we saw them play, they were disgraceful against East Perth. And again today, there's just no spirit. No one's minding their own man.
There goes the shot from Hand. It's pretty close. Claremont have their third. They're 3-3. West Perth are 1 point.
Well, players are drifting down the ground. Han has drifted down from a wing. Miles drifted down from a half-back to kick the last goal. And the West Perth defenders have no organisation back there at all. Now, David Palm, they tell me, is the organiser. Well, he's got to start having a talk to a few guys down there because they don't seem to know where their opponents are going. Richard Higgins can't find Peter Mann, and O'Brien can't find Mitchell, and the players are drifting down the ground.
20 points is the margin.
O'Connell wins the tap. Knocked through the pack by Del Barello. Mithka almost sandwiched. Ball on the ground. Socked away by Hand. Picked up by Mann. Back to Brooks. Brooks goes across the ground and finds David O'Connell short of centre half forward. He wants to play on. He's got a break. Not much pressure there either. The kick into the pocket. Ridley's got the sit. Sadowski in front. Off hands and out of bounds. 15 metres around from the behind post. Claremont going forward with ease, Keith.
Yes. Yeah, and, again, David O'Connell, Wasley nowhere near him. I mean, everybody would know who they're playing on, surely.
Wasley, Higgins gets front position. Wasley, a good tap to Riggs. Riggs boots it out of the danger zone. Kerse and Brooks are there. Kerse almost a clever mark. Couldn't find the ball for a moment. Knocks it straight back to Mitchell. Under pressure, he's pulled out of bounds. Hand passes back in the field of play, though. And Del Barello clears away for West Perth.
Kick goes up towards centre wing. No one able to take the mark out there. Urquhart was involved in that. Lewis has it now. This is Miles. And O'Connell is unattended in the centre of the ground again if they can get it to him. Didn't carry, but Evans intercepted. Back they go towards centre half forward. That's fairly direct stuff. And Claremont with the numbers at ground level. Hand stood aside, gave Mithka a chance. Good hand pass goes to Sadowski. Sadowski from centre half back chips it into the centre of the ground, and now West Perth are unattended. This is Davies. He puts the ball to Hall's advantage. That's a good kick. Was just far enough away from O'Malley to allow Hall to take an uncontested mark, and Williams should mark.
At this time, a lack of pressure from Claremont. Claremont defenders just waddling along behind, hoping someone would drop a mark. Interesting to see Greg O'Malley playing today. The last time I saw him play was for Railways in Geraldton, and on that occasion he was a half-forward flanker.
Centre half back today as Williams lines up from about 45 metres. He's pulled that, but it comes back with a breeze. Beautiful kick. West Perth had their first goal at the 13-minute mark of the first quarter. They're 1-1. They trail Claremont, who are 3-3.
Well, that started with a very intelligent chip pass from Sadowski at fullback. He found Hassler in the middle of the ground, and from then on it was easy game for West Perth. But both defences are guilty of not applying pressure in this quarter. We've criticised West Perth, but on that occasion I thought the Claremont defenders were just wandering along behind, hoping someone would drop a mark. They didn't, and a magnificent kick by Williams.
John Anea on the interchange bench for Claremont. 21 plays 7. West Perth needed that goal desperately. Good tap by Higgins. Picked up by Mitchell. He's lost it. Now it's with Mithka. Socked away by Del Barello. They kick the half forward. Williams and Beresford. Good use of the body by Beresford. Puts it up high for Brooks. He should mark and does at half back. Del Barello on the mark. Brooks uses the ball well and finds a teammate in guard. It's a hallmark of his play. Guard can also use the ball intelligently. He finds Higgins right in the centre circle. He boots it long and hard to full forward. Ridley a chance from the back, from the side O'Connell. They spelled each other. Comes to Repacholi, and he hand passes into the pocket and out of bounds.
One thing I'll say about Higgins, he can kick a football. We saw him kick a couple of lovely goals last week, and that kick covering a good 60 metres.
Great timing Peter Higgins has got when he kicks the ball, hasn't he, Keith?
He appears to have.
Boundary thrown at right half forward for Claremont. O'Connell got front position. Wosley had a second chance at it. Del Borello close to the line, is outmanoeuvred by Cormac. This is Evans. Back he goes to guard. Chance here for Claremont. Good kick. Oh, O'Connell opted out. I think he thought Ridley was coming through. Well, that's what he's indicating anyway. The kick goes back to the half forward line. Hasler was up. Chance here for Han. This is Mitchell. He'll need to be clever. Did it pretty well. He's run down the second side though. Tried to do too much. Well played by O'Brien. Still, this is Brooks. Still Claremont with a chance. Mitchell again. He's persistent. Thorne has it now. They're messing around on that half forward line. Ridley in the square. Nearly a clever mark. He needs to get this back to O'Connell. Suffers it through for a point. Hectic passage of play, but if Claremont had been more direct, perhaps they could have inflicted more pain on West Perth.
Very clever piece of play by Peter Thorne. He's a good player. He's a definite acquisition to this Claremont side.
Sadowski puts it back into play for the Falcons. Kicks to half back. That's a good kick for Wosley. He's a beanpole, Keith, isn't he?
Yep.
Davies back in the side today. Finds Hasler. West Perth can go from here. He goes across the ground for Mifka. It bounces between Mifka. Miles intercepting. Cleverly taps it back. The hand. Hand finds Mitchell. Now there's a player loose in Evans. He goes over the top of O'Brien. Evans outside 50. Spoiled by O'Brien. Good football. Coming to meet it was Cormac. Thorne tackled by Palm. Through goes Higgins. Tackled by Mitchell. Throws it away. Pike's there on top of it. Palm a chance. Nathan Higgins finally to work it. And West Perth rebounds. He goes for a gallop through half-back, kicks towards centre half forward. Hall getting a hand in there with Scott. He's a long way out. Williams bumped off. It was Madaffrey. Beresford gives it away to Brooks, and Claremont can work it forward again as he finds Evans.
Evans is the attacking side of right centre wing. He kicks that out in front of O'Connell. Scott right down from full back, provided a good shepherd. And now O'Connell goes back towards the goal square. Ridley again not able to take the mark. This time Cormac didn't have it. And West Perth, who got out of trouble moments ago with some generous assistance from the umpires, now are going to be penalised by the umpires as Cormac shoots from about 25 metres.
Well, I suppose we'd have to call that inconsistent umpiring, Walter. We saw Peter Thorne picked up and swung around without the ball a few moments ago.
And then we saw a throw. That's a good kick from Joe Cormac. That was a fairly awkward angle. He's got Claremont's fourth. They're 4-4. West Perth are 1-1. We're 18 minutes into the first quarter as Hazel comes onto the ground.
Yes, the throws I can almost live with because the law book says that you've got to kick or attempt to kick or punch or attempt to punch when you're tackled. And who's to say that even though it was a throw, you weren't attempting to punch it. So, but when someone hasn't got the ball and they're swung around a couple of times, well, that's pretty obvious to me. Maybe too obvious, Well.
21 points the margin. Umpires Repper and O'Reilly. Hazel's on the ball, beaten by Higgins, knocked on cleverly by Evans, into the path of West Perth's Higgins. He hand passes it straight to Thorne, picked it up clean as a whistle, but wanted too long. Gets a very soft free kick.
I think it might have been the square up, Trev. He should have had one a few moments ago, shouldn't he?
Welcome to our viewers across Western Australia. Thorne drives into the pocket. O'Brien got a hand in that, pushes in front of his body, now has to get rid of it. It comes to Repacholi from Hazel. Repacholi goes into the middle of the ground. Higgins read it nicely, kicked it straight into Williams. Crumbs come to Thorne, back to Higgins, tackled by Mifka. Williams intercepting, rebounds to Evans. He hand passes up in the air. Going straight into trouble there was West Perth player in Hall. Umpire O'Reilly coming in to separate players. Claremont lead by 21 points. With me in commentary, Wally Foreman, Keith Slater, and our statistician is Ken Casillas. Claremont going to the right-hand side of your screen. Man over the top of Hazel. Hand went without it. Now Williams. He brings it to the wing. Del Barello. Higgins was too tall for him. Hand's got it. 100 game player today. Miles from half back. Goes right across the ground. He's looking for Cormac. He was bowled. In comes Palm now for West Perth. He's outside the defensive 50. Palms off Lewis. Then kicks towards half back. Riggs should mark. Miles, the spoiler, did it well. Crumbs come to Riggs. He's running out of room, but he brings it back in towards a more central position, but the mark has been taken by O'Malley.
Good mark too.
21 minutes gone in the first quarter at Leederville Oval. O'Malley by hand to Pike. Pike moving towards the attacking side of the centre square. Kick gets good penetration with that kick. Almost, yes, it was a good mark to Repacholi at the back of the pack.
He can't play on after a mark.
Hazel was the player who wanted to.
He can still use him if he wants to. He's clear.
He's called to play on now. This is Hazel, the defensive 50-metre line, up towards centre wing. Mifka has a decided height advantage over Mark Hand. Short kick from Mifka is a good one, marked by Del Barello. It stop-start motoring, though, as far as West Perth are concerned. Del Barello kicks up towards the 50-metre line. Hall showed superior judgment. He'll be first back to it. Scott's there with him now. With his head down and coming to meet the ball determinedly was Owens. Good kick into the centre of the ground. If Ford can get back to it. Williams got there in the nick of time. That was well done, but he was claimed. Cleverly done by Mitchell. This is Miles, who kicked a goal from the half-back flank a while ago. He wasn't on the half-back flank when he kicked it, but he was playing there. This is Lewis, in towards full forward. Cormac at the back, good mark. Cormac kicked Claremont's last goal from the opposite pocket. This time he has the breeze almost over his shoulder. It's favouring the end to which Claremont are kicking. Not a strong breeze, but handy. And not a good kick from Joe Cormac. Pushed that right across the face of goal, and Claremont moved to 4-5. West Perth are 1-1.
Well, Claremont are kicking with the breeze. They made a brilliant start. West Perth made a terrible start. Now, West Perth have lifted their rating, no doubt about that, but Claremont appear to have too much class at this stage.
Hasler in front of Man. Man with a hand over the top. O'Connell run down by Repacholi. It's taking too long, but he could have been pushed in the back also. Umpire didn't see it that way, and it's a boundary throw-in.
Just getting away with that, I would think. The tackle from here appeared to be high, but umpire O'Reilly was right on the job, in good position.
22 points that margin. Claremont out of the blocks as always. O'Connell and Hazel holding. That was a hand pass of Adabit Cormac. Now Mifka. Towards the wing, Higgins and Curse on a collision course.
West Perth's defence has tightened up a little. O'Brien had an enormous problem picking up Mitchell early, and Richard Higgins couldn't find Man. Now they've tightened a little.
Higgins brings it down looking for Mitchell. Curse going through the traffic. Mitchell runs down Madafri. And now Hand. Inboard for Thorne. Got a good bounce. On it goes to Cormac. Over the top for Mitchell. He's in a spot of bother here. Has to run away. He's caught. Play on the call. Brooks gets it away to Pike. Back for Lewis. Hasler with good courage. O'Brien sockers it only as far as for Pike. He goes back to Higgins.
Boom.
Higgins kicks to half forward. Up goes Nathan Higgins. Cormac roving brilliantly. Another chance for a goal, but the kick lacks depth. Ridley's there, and he should receive the free kick. That was silly play from Sadowski. He's given away a certain goal.
Well, I think he had to do something because Ridley was going to take the mark anyway. He took the chance. What a spearing, beautiful kick from Joe Cormac, and he made it very difficult for Sadowski. Not much fullbacks can do about that. And I don't disagree with him giving away the free kick there because it was going to be a mark anyway, and he showed desperation, and that's important.
A chance to stretch the lead even further off the boot of Ridley. He makes no mistake. He's booted 2. Claremont at 5-5-35. West Perth at 1-1-7 after 23 and a half minutes of play.
And Claremont's ruckmen are doing very well. Watch the kick from Cormac. Sorted it out beautifully, put it in a beautiful position for Ridley. He was going to take the mark. Sadowski took the chance and just hung on a little bit too long and gave away the free kick. But Claremont's ruckmen are doing some damage, aren't they? Like Higgins and before him O'Connell, not so much at the hit-outs, but around the ground, gathering a lot of kicks and making good use of their possessions.
28 points is the margin. 24 minutes gone in the first quarter at Leederville Oval, and Claremont really asserting themselves very early in this game as hand goes back in the direction of Brooks. He eludes Hall well, kicks towards the half-forward line. Mann has the run of the ball. Higgins in pursuit of him. That's Richard Higgins. He's not able to pick it up. In fact, Mann did very well in that situation, then knocks it back to Thorne's advantage. Thorne is cornered. He gets it to Pike. Pike goes back towards full forward, and over the back comes Cormac, and this should be another one to Claremont.
Well, now they have a problem with Rovers because Thorne and Cormac are coming into the claim very strongly, and either back pocket or opposition Rovers have now got to have a look at themselves.
Tell you what, Keith, there's more Higgins out there than you'd find in a phone book. There goes the shot from Cormac, and he's got his second. That's 6 goals, 5 Claremont. West Perth are 1-1.
Well, the 2 for West Perth and 1 for Claremont. And there's Peter Mann playing very well. At least Higgins is with him making a contest. He's intelligent, the big man, knocks it on beautifully. That's Thorne. He's clever. This way, that away. Then he goes back with a handball to Pike. He goes for the centre square, and Joe Cormac just floating down. I think he drove him, and maybe the fault of the opposition rover not picking him up. I suggest that might be Mal Williams. You've got to have a bit of pride, especially when you're playing a side like Claremont's and you're kicking into the breeze. It's very important to man up and not be too far behind at quarter time. Well, West Perth haven't done that.
Bad sign for West Perth, Trev. Nipper Wilson's left the grandstand.
We would like to remind supporters, please stay clear of the ground at quarter time.
Pretty ordinary start.
Thank you.
They need to lift their rating. Higgins bumped over by Curse, or bumped aside, scrambled through the pack, but only as far as Miles. He boots it to half forward. Higgins and Mann. Mann's been on top of him for most of the quarter. They paddle towards the boundary. Mann traps it. It's caught, but got it out to Thorne. The old 1-2 again. Mitchell. O'Brien's got him. It's a high tackle, not according to the umpire. And O'Brien drives it to the wing and finds Riggs. Just backward of right centre wing. He's got time for a run. And now he kicks to half forward. Up in front, almost pulling down the mark, O'Malley. Making a contest out there was Davies. Nathan Higgins, tackled and spilt. Miles out of room. A boundary throw in at right half forward. Essendon too good for the West Coast Eagles at Windy Hill today. That margin 39 points at the finish. Del Barello trying to break away. The hand pass lands with Beresford. He's lost it. Now it's scrambled out to Madaffrey. Davies. Hand pass was right inside the boundary. Oh, he's unlucky. Yeah. He was trying to kick the ball. I mean, that's what we were talking about a few moments ago. You've either got to kick it or attempt to kick it, and he was certainly doing that. So Guard relieves some of the pressure. Up goes Hazel in front of Thorne. No mark taken. Lewis and Urquhart are there. Hazel shovels it back to the pack for Hasler. He hand passes for Williams. Man is in trouble. Panizza coming on. Mitchell dispossessed. Back he comes. Good hand pass for Scott. Allowed to wander down the ground like a man on a Sunday walk. Oh, God. Up to throw. It away. Not penalised. Oh, dear. It comes back to Repaccioli fortuitously. And this kick will land in the open spaces for West Perth. There's a foot race on here. Miles and Kirk. Over the shoulder.
Certainly wasn't over the shoulder.
That's a terrible decision.
He's done a hamstring.
Yeah. Man's off. That's a blow to Claremont.
He's done a hamstring.
He's been in brilliant form in this quarter. Higgins pushes to the boundary ahead of Madaffrey. Isn't he a tough customer, Jeff Miles?
He played that beautifully, actually.
Boundary throw-in on West Perth's 50-metre line. We're well into time on. They need a goal before quarter time if they can get one. Beresford goes to Panizza, who's come on to replace Mann.
Oh,
that's dangerous. Pike needs to mark. Over the top was Riggs. Pike with the best recovery. Not now. He held Riggs. Riggs being interfered with and eventually gets the kick.
That's incredible play by Panizza. I reckon he forgot which way he was kicking.
The free kick with John Riggs.
He made him earn it. Did umpire Rapper.
Chance for Claremont to take it away. Good hand pass from Lewis to Pike and in turn to Cormac. That wasn't such a good hand pass, but Cormac makes some time for himself. Brooks, cool, gets it across the top to Hand. Hand will go to the half-forward line. This is Mitchell coming to meet him as Palm. He's left his player though, Palm, but put sufficient pressure on Mitchell to force the error, and that was good defensive football by David Palm. There you see Peter Mann. That's a real blow, not just for Claremont, but for the young man himself.
It's like a hamstring, well.
Yes, he played so well last week and had started brilliantly this afternoon. Richard Higgins will be relieved, I can tell you that. He's been chasing him around all over Leederville Oval in the first 25 minutes of this game. Kick goes towards centre wing, but Higgins was pushed out. This is Peter Higgins. Plays on with a hand pass to Panizza. They can go right across the face of the ground to Lewis if they want to. The kick was so high that they didn't really get maximum benefit out of it. But here comes Miles off the half-back line again. Claremont get the ball into their forward line. Ridley is there with Sadowski. Sadowski did it pretty well, and he gets it out of play for a throw-in just outside Claremont's 50-metre line.
I reckon a lot of the top sides will be watching Claremont's pattern of play of swinging the ball across the ground, and that could bring them undone. I don't like that pattern of play at all.
Hazel and O'Connell. Davies dispossessed by Cormac. Knocks it straight into the path of Repacholi. He knocks it back to Hazel. He goes for a hand pass looking for the boundary. And the siren sounds to end the first quarter that belonged to Claremont, 6-5-41. And West Perth a 1-1-7. So that margin, 41 plays 7, 34 points in favour of the Tigers, who kicked with the aid of possibly a 2-goal breeze in that first term. Let's check the other grounds. On the scoreboard, Swan Districts and South Fremantle are tied up, and the score just being changed there between Perth and East Perth. Perth are 3-3, and East Perth...
Boots and all.
Yeah, they've gone in boots and all. We can't get a score from that game as yet. We'll come back, though, and check that score in a moment. Keith, what about summing up that first quarter? Firstly, though, Cormac and Ridley both beated 2 goals. Han and Miles 1 apiece. And for West Perth, Malcolm Williams was their goal scorer.
Yes, it was a very impressive performance by Claremont. They won the toss, kicked with the breeze. It was a breeze, a northeasterly breeze, blowing into the right full forward pocket. And, gee, they played it well. They had winners all over the ground. Their ruckman did extremely well. O'Connell initially, not only with the hit-outs and their good heavy work in the middle of the ground, but the fact that they were getting kicks around the ground, making themselves available, and he was supported, O'Connell, by Higgins, and I thought, again, he played very well. The feature of his play is his lovely long kicking. He covers 60 metres nearly every time he gets the ball, and O'Connell did the same today. They had a winning half-forward line. Peter Mann was just running around almost unguarded for the first quarter of an hour. Next to him, Mitchell was absolutely cutting the O'Brien to pieces, and then going down a bit further, you had Ridley, who kicked 2 goals for the quarter. Cormac, they couldn't find Cormac at all, and Thorne was at his brilliant best. And to boot, we had the players coming down from the half-back line like Miles, and the fullback Scott was down at half-forward at one stage. And all in all, a very impressive performance by Claremont, and really I'm surprised that the West Perth aren't further behind.
Let's check some of the highlights of the first quarter, coming to you from ABC with live football. It's O'Connell and Wasley. Wasley may have won the tap. Thorne scrambles a kick out of the middle as far as Mann. He gets a hand pass to Guard. Guard pulls it across his body to full forward. Up goes Ridley. And in the first 30 seconds, Claremont a chance of a goal on the board. From 35 metres, puts it through. First goal on the board in the first minute of play.
Chips it infield. They're going very short on the forward line. Cormac has it. Not a good hand pass. Curse went without it. Mitchell, with a much better hand pass, finds Guard. That's kicked to Ridley's advantage, but Sadowski gets in front. Ridley recovers, not as well as Higgins, who gets the ball towards the boundary line. The only player there is Mann. The surface just a little bit slippery. Miles has it. Must be running on the ball. Good kick from Jeff Miles. He's got Claremont's second goal. Repacholi over the top, but it comes straight down to Guard. Pike has it now, goes towards centre half forward, and this is Han. And I was just about to say, Keith, I can't believe the lack of pressure in the West Perth defence.
Absolutely nil.
There goes the shot from Han. It's pretty close. Claremont have their third. They're 3-3. West Perth are 1 point. Good hand pass goes to Sadowski. Sadowski from centre half back chips it into the centre of the ground, and now West Perth are unattended. This is Davies. He puts the ball to Hall's advantage. That's a good kick. It was just far enough away from O'Malley to allow Hall to take an uncontested mark, and Williams should mark. Centre half back today as Williams lines up from about 45 metres. He's pulled that, but it comes back with a breeze. Beautiful kick. West Perth had their first goal at the 13-minute mark of the first quarter. They're 1-1. They trail Claremont, who are 3-3. And now O'Connell goes back towards the goal square. Ridley again not able to take the mark. This time Cormac didn't have it. And West Perth, who got out of trouble moments ago with some generous assistance from the umpires, now are going to be penalised by the umpires as Cormac shoots from about 25 metres. And then we saw a throw. That's a good kick from Joe Cormack. That was a fairly awkward angle.
Other scores, you can see East Perth and Perth also tied up close to quarter time in their match being played at Lathlane Park. So some interesting games around the metro area today. Here at Leederville Oval, it's Claremont, as you can see, by 34 points. Ken Casillas, who have been some of the leading possession getters on the ground.
Well, Joe Cormack's had 7 kicks. Perhaps Glenn Mitchell might have something for us down on the boundary line.
Yes, the main thing Gerard Neesham stressed that his players relaxed late in that quarter. He wants his forwards to get in front. The breeze down here, Trevor, is quite strong, favouring the Vincent end of the ground.
Leading possession getter, Ken.
Joe Cormack with 7. 7 to Riggs on the far wing for West Perth, and Brooks in the centre for Claremont has had 5 kicks.
As Thorne boots the Tigers into attack, across the 50-metre line is Hasler. He's forced a hand pass. Mitchell putting the pressure on. Still Hasler. That's well played. Run from Rapaccioli. He bursts past O'Malley and boots a wobbly-looking punt though to the wing. Evans got a hand to that. Curse the crumbs to Williams. He goes out wide. Riggs is under pressure from Lewis. He outruns him. Well played, and kicks to half forward for Cullen. And he's interfered with by Brooks. Couldn't see that, Keith. Brooks is the one who's down.
No, I'm just looking. O'Malley's gone to centre half forward for Claremont, and Owens has gone into centre half back.
And Brooks is in a bit of bother.
And that's because Mann is off the field, and there's the Brooks incident.
How did you read that?
Well, he's just run into one. It's one of those accidents that happen.
Was the free kick there, though? Was that a free kick?
Well, I didn't think it was.
He chest on, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was just a contest where both guys were sort of going for the ball, and maybe the knee came up. The umpire was closer than us, and he's made the decision. He doesn't look too good, does he?
No, he's hurt.
Peter Thorne doing a good generaling job out there. That might be a rib, actually, is it?
The funny thing was, Wally, he hit the West Perth player, Cullen, with his hip and shoulder, with his shoulder, and he hit Cullen in the chest.
I think he got a knee. He got a knee or a boot.
Yeah,
it's
the knee there, yeah.
I think it's a rib or a lung.
Yeah, he's not too good, and they'd be wise to get him straight off the field and let the doctor have a look at him.
They
Because
could afford to carry him off, I would think.
if it takes that long to recover, then he's not all that good, I wouldn't think.
Well, Claremont in a spot of bother because it's unlikely that Mann will come back. If it is a hamstring, we're still waiting on Glenn Mitchell to confirm that.
Nathan Brooks in a spot of bother. He's not leaving the ground as Cullen fires on goal. A magnificent drop punt. Gee, that should spur them up if anything would. They needed that goal badly. And the first goal in the second quarter going to West Perth off the boot of number 33, who booted 5 goals recently in a reserves match and earned his place in this side. Brooks leaving the ground. John Anea coming on for the first time. West Perth at 2-1-13. Claremont 6-5-41.
Very opportune free kick. What a magnificent kick. I'll bet West Perth haven't kicked many longer goals than that here for a long time.
Well, maybe that will put a bit of life into this West Perth side, but Claremont take it straight out of the centre of the ground through Thorne. Leading in the race for the ball was Palm, brilliantly read by Cormack. Cormack is 60 metres from goal. That's intended for Ridley, who used his body well. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I think Ridley was fending Sadowski off, but Ridley has been awarded the kick.
Definitely a play-on situation for mine.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you, Keith.
Yeah,
They
there
were
was
both
a
in it.
good man-on-man contest, wasn't it?
So Ridley, favoured by an umpiring decision here. He's kicked 2 in the first quarter, the league's leading goal kicker. A different proposition kicking goals at this end of the ground, but he sneaked that through. He's kicking into the light breeze, which is just tricky, and Ridley has his 3rd. And Claremont their 7th, they're 7-5, West Perth 2-1, so a quick reply by the Tigers.
He's a class performer, Ridley. That was a lovely kick into the breeze. We saw Williams do that in the first quarter for West Perth, and now Ridley. But again, the 2 danger men for West Perth in the play. That's Ridley's kick into the breeze, remember. But it was Thorne who got it out of the middle, and it was Cormack who rode brilliantly, taking the ball off the hands of David Palm and setting it up for Ridley.
And 4 of the last 5 goals have been free kicks.
Wosley's back on the ball for West Perth, knocks it straight down to Thorne. Taking it off him though was Evans. He kicks it towards the wing. Pike will be the first to arrive. Good shepherding by Mitchell. Pike hand passes defensively. Lewis from the members' wing sets it up high to half forward, and Mitchell floats into the open. He's away. Will-o'-the-wisp kicks to half forward. Evans bursting through half forward, tries to do a little too much. He's caught. should have been holding the ball.
Put it on the ground, Trev.
O'Malley's got it.
Oh,
Fires on goal, and it's a beauty. Did Palm knock it in? He did. But suckered through by Ridley for his fourth. And that is very intelligent football by Todd Ridley. 4 goals to him. And the Claremont can do no wrong, but they may have been just a shade lucky.
He touched it on the ground, Trev.
Yeah, and no one was really retarding him. That was the other thing. But what a lovely kick by Greg O'Malley. I thought he kicked his first goal in league football.
Yeah, he did touch it
Just
too.
took a bit of time out, and there's O'Malley's kick, an absolute jet. I thought it was going through for his first goal in league football. Pushed back into play by Palm, beautifully rowed this time by Ridley. He's good in the air, he's good on the ground. He's a class player.
He'd been watching the Cameroons last night, I think, Spud.
40 points the difference, well.
Yes, this is a decisive break now. West Perth need to respond here, and they need to respond quickly.
It's a fair
Hand goes to Thorne. Thorne goes underground to Pike. Pike goes round in a big circle. He's gone backward of the play every time he's got the ball so far, Don Pike, but he's done it effectively this time. Panizza chips the ball in. Higgins couldn't quite get to it. Sadowski spoiled Ridley. Was good play. Del Borello for West Perth eludes the tackle. Good football. Chips it down towards centre wing. You're leading back in the race again as Panizza. It won't sit for him. That was a really awkward bounce, and he was run down by Higgins. Socked away eventually by Miles, and the throw will take place on Claremont's right centre wing.
Looks like Panizza's playing on a half-back flank, Ken.
Yes, Jerry Neesham's tried him there in about 4 games this year and get him to give Claremont a bit of run off the half-back line.
Wasley goes down towards the half-forward line for West Perth, but Beresford was held. He gets the free kick. This is Lewis, gets around Davies. Beresford backing up. Good football. They work it out of defence again. Panizza perhaps a little more comfortable on centre wing. He's...
Good mark, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a good mark. I was just seeing where Panizza went back to. Evans was the player, and now this is Mitchell. Well, they're running West Perth ragged at the moment. West Perth doing a lot of chasing.
They've got to find the right man for Mitchell.
Mitchell called a play on, puts it out in front of Ridley again. It won't quite carry, doesn't matter. The mark has been taken
Jeremy
by
Gard.
Gard. So Gard will shoot from about 30 metres.
With his 7th kick for the match, this will be.
Yeah, he's been a very elusive half-forward. On the other side, Mitchell's been elusive.
Real problems for West Perth now. That's Claremont's 9th. They're 9-5. The Falcons are 2-1.
They have too much class, and their skill level is very high, Claremont indeed. And that's all over the field. They just have more skill than West Perth. West Perth's endeavour is there, but they really haven't learnt the art of checking players. And O'Brien just can't find Mitchell. And of course, on the other side, Gard is running amok, and they just haven't found the formula yet for being a very tight in defence. Of course, George McKeljic should know something about that.
Peter Mann watches on with that
Tony
hamstring.
Beers.
There's the bounce. O'Connell favoured, beaten though by Wasley. West Perth work it out of the middle though. This is Riggs. The hand pass came from Hall. Dropping back in defence though is Scott, and takes the mark. Has Modafferi touched the ball yet, Ken?
Yes, he had a soccer out of the centre square about the 20-minute mark of the first quarter. He went into the centre square for a centre bounce down, had a soccer which travelled about 7 metres.
Miles through centre half back. Claremont making their own arrangements. The kick to the middle of the ground. Mifka in front of hand and takes a good mark.
He's taken 2 or 3 good marks, or how many, Ken?
Mifka, that's his 2nd mark and his 5th kick.
Pumps the ball high into no man's land out in front of Del Borello, and there's no real method in that.
Well, there's no real method in West Perth's play, full stop, and they're falling down very badly.
Glenn Mitchell has a report on Peter Mann, Keith.
Play goes on. We'll get that report in a moment. Through comes Anea. Hand pass smothered. Comes to Davies. Tackled by Lewis. Back to Nathan Higgins. Gets around Evans and then Pike and kicks it back to full forward. Got a pushing there from Cullen. Gave away a simple free kick to be taken by Owens.
He's going to be caught.
Oh, yes.
One down from behind was good football, but there's plenty of support as always in the Claremont back line. This is Anea. Sends a raking hand pass to Pike in the centre of the ground, and still they overlap. Good football, poor attempt at the bounce by Jeff Miles, and Claremont in strife now. The ball held to that player in the opinion of the umpire, but perhaps Pike was a little bit fortunate to get away with that.
Dead set Lairising by John Anea. He should have got his boot into that. That handball was never on.
9-5 to 2-1. Claremont lead West Perth, and we're at the 8-minute mark of the 2nd quarter. Evans roving the pack. This is Lewis. Lewis looking towards centre wing. Clever kick. Gard is on the end of it.
Now Hassler, I think, is guarding him, and he's got to do a lot better.
The kick from guard goes up towards the 50-metre line. O'Malley up in the centre of the pack. Oh, called to play on. Evans above. Gets a beautiful hand pass away to Evans, though, and he goes towards goal and put that one down to O'Malley. That's their 10th. They're 10-5. West Perth at 2-1.
And put the last two down to O'Malley because he has gone to centre-half forward. He's far more accustomed to playing in the forward line, and he looks very, very comfortable indeed in that position. He's a big man. He's put on a lot of weight since I've seen him last, and he set up the last two goals. That's beautifully taken by O'Malley. Not paid the mark. It didn't matter. He got it over to Evans, and he's just the third string in this magnificent roving combination.
Now let's go down to Glenn and get a report on Peter Mann.
Yes, Peter Mann sitting on the bench has strained his right hamstring. He's come off under his own steam and should be okay. And Nathan Brooks being looked at by the club doctor at the moment. The news is that he probably has bruised ribs, but may be coming back on, but definitely not before half-time.
52 points. Claremont surge forward again. Off the boot of Thorne. Thorne's kicked to half forward. Socket by Sadowski. Thorne comes back. That is just reckless play for mine.
Well, that's twice Sadowski has been reckless. We gave him the benefit of the doubt last time.
Why would you do that?
Got roaming hands, hasn't he?
Higgins up at the front. Wosley
Like
at the back.
Trev.
Wosley kicks to wide, and it will bounce out of bounds in front of Riggs. And Donny Pike, number 53.
Interesting duel, that one, Trevor. Riggs leading 9 kicks to Pike's 5 at this stage.
Where have the kicks gone to?
Riggs has had 1 effective kicks out of his 9.
Wosley in front, O'Malley over the top, good tap to the back of the pack. West Perth in numbers there, socket her away, but it comes to hand, defensively to O'Connell from the middle of the ground. He kicks high to half forward, Palm sets himself, almost pulled down a specky over Thorne. Sadowski to Mifka. Mifka thumps it out of defence. Once again, Claremont are well placed though, and the mark has been taken by Panizza.
So Panizza from centre-half back, across the face of the ground to Lewis. Lewis towards the members' flank, looking for Mitchell. Good mark. Clever mark in front of O'Brien.
I've got a feeling he set that up for O'Malley.
Kick, not a good kick, will land short. That was an awkward one to try and mark, as we saw from Curse's effort. Another chance now for Ania. He's dispossessed, and away come West Perth. Hand pass is a high one to Riggs. Riggs not well tackled by O'Connell. Got a kick in. Hall up in front. Good mark to Miles. Gee, that was good judgment coming from behind. What a beautiful kick. Thorne from the 50-metre line chips it down towards Higgins, and Higgins will shoot from 35 metres.
That is very good football, isn't it?
It's
well,
men playing boys.
Very good football.
Aren't they an enigmatic side, West Perth? They beat East Fremantle. They could manage only 5 goals against East Perth. They beat Swan Districts, and now we see a performance like this in this first half against Claremont. There goes the shot at goal from Higgins. I think he's missed. I was going to say I think he's got it. Claremont moved to 10 goals 6. West Perth at 2 goals 1. We've played 12 minutes in the second quarter at Leederville Oval, and West Perth really do need to get themselves organised and shift up a gear.
I think we've been critical of the back line, while I've got a feeling the criticism should be further upfield because the Claremont players are just able to pinpoint their kicks too easily without any pressure on them.
Well, Sadowski is about to bring the ball back into play, and he goes looking for Repacholi. Closing on him is Higgins. Chance at the back of the pack from Mifka, but Claremont have all the numbers. This is Evans. Evans above, spinning like a top. I'm not sure that they ever really got a decent tackle on him. Called to play on. Urquhart is dispossessed, playing against his old team today. That's Pike hooking it out very wide to Thorne. Now, his last 4 kicks he's got without anyone standing him. Infield he comes to Mitchell. Where's O'Brien? Can't find him. The kick goes in towards full forward, and Ridley will shoot for his 5th from about 25 metres.
And it's not half-time yet, I might add. And they're not happy about it at all.
Well, he booted 12 last time against West Perth.
Did he?
They only won by 159 points.
He's such a quick player, and it doesn't matter whether the ball's on the ground or in the air.
He's shooting for his 42nd goal for the season, and he's got it. He started the day 3 goals clear of Glenn Bartlett on the goal-kicking ladder. And Glenn Bartlett will have his hands full trying to improve on that position if this is any indication, this first half.
Well, again, in that little sortie forward, that's Ridley taking a beautiful mark. It was beautifully positioned for him, but I love the aggressive way he goes at his ball, and I love the aggressive way he kicks the ball at goal. And when you kick it hard like that and with authority, the ball doesn't have much chance to swerve around in the breeze. And it's a good performance by Ridley. 5 goals, and we're just a quarter of an hour into the second quarter.
72 plays 13. Claremont once again giving West Perth a football lesson. That's holding the ball. No, he's played it too high. A lot of people wouldn't agree with that.
Might be one of them.
But there's the kick to centre half forward. Guard's got the sit. In front was Higgins. Ania held when he didn't have it. In goes Hasler. Shovels it back. And the umpire's whistle has sounded. He'll bounce it down about 55 metres out. Who would have believed that Claremont would run riot like this as easily as they've done? The best side of the competition by a country mile from what we've seen this season. Del Barello, Pike and Higgins. Pike with more courage on that occasion. Hand passed it straight back to Williams. Williams out wide. Riggs with pace. Kicks to half forward, but look at this. Hall hopelessly out of position, and Miles is just picking up kick after kick. There's the kick to half forward. Higgins up, almost the mark. Hand the crumbs. Comes back towards Higgins. He was held. And a hand pass to O'Connell. Hand that was wide of the mark. He's got plenty of time to recover. He's at right half forward. Good spin. And goes inboard and finds David O'Connell, who was left unattended. He kicks towards Ridley, and he pulls down another one. He's giving Sadowski one of the best baths you've ever seen at Leederville.
Sadowski, no chance.
Sadowski.
The West Perth players in the midfield are making one grab at the West Perth player, usually falling over. Then they stand back and watch the player deliver the ball. It gives their back line absolutely no chance at all.
Ridley for 6, and it's straight. And Claremont at 12 goals, 678. Leading West Perth 2-1-13 in a football exhibition here at Leederville Oval, 17 minutes into the second quarter.
Well, I just took time out to have a look at what happened then when O'Connell had the ball. The tackle came from Rapaccioli, who slipped over and just laid on the ground. Just near there was Graham Curse. He actually stood like a policeman and just watched O'Connell deliver the ball into Ridley, and that's what's happening in the middle of the ground. There was absolutely no desire or determination at all.
65 points is the margin here, and look at the situation at those other grounds. Swans just in front of Souths, East Perth and Perth in a very close battle.
Hope George is enjoying that at Bassendean.
Cormac, the hand pass to Thorne. Thorne from the centre square towards centre half forward. Chance in there for Curse. He's dispossessed by Ania. The hand pass to O'Malley. Not a good kick. It'll land in play. Oh, Ridley again.
Dear.
He'll play on quickly because Thorne's loose. He goes shorter than that. It was intended for Evans. It was a bad kick. Good bump applied by Evans. Goal! That was good play by Tony Evans. At no stage did he eliminate himself from that passage of play and was rewarded with the final kick, which brought up another goal.
Well, that's beautifully played. Very unselfishly played by Ridley. When you're hot, you're hot. The ball's falling in his lap now, and he chips it into the centre. A good bump by Evans. It finishes up back with him. The best game I've seen from Evans. I haven't seen a lot of him. I've heard a lot of him, but by gee, he's putting it on here today, and he's being well supported, of course, or he's giving good support to the likes of Cormac and Thorne, and generally the whole Claremont side are cutting West Perth to pieces. I don't know who their captain is out there, but by Jove, he's got a job to do. I think it's Porky Hasler, and he's got to get into that centre circle and rev this mob up.
71 points with 12 minutes remaining in the second term. Higgins brought it down to the back, coming through his Urquhart, tackled by Higgins. The kick lands with Riggs. Riggs has picked up numerous kicks, and he kicks to Cullen, who finds him about 40 metres out directly in front. Riggs, Ken Casillas,
is the leading kick getter on the field, surprisingly. A West Perth player being the leading kick getter on the field. 3 marks, 12 kicks.
Far and away West Perth's best player in this contest.
And hasn't he got some pace too, John Riggs?
Mind you, he hasn't got much to beat.
in his own team, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah. He hasn't got many teammates. Unfortunately today, Cullen has already kicked one brilliant goal. He knows how to kick a football.
He sure does.
That's a beauty. His second goal, if one gets the fielding key, the horse was already bolted.
Well, you mustn't look at the scoreboard. Players are instructed nowadays to not be dictated in their play by the scoreboard. I thought that was nicely played by Nathan Higgins, who's up in the middle of the ground now. It was he who fed it out to John Riggs, and a lovely pass from Riggs going into Cullen. And you're quite right, he knows how to kick a footy, and when he kicks for goal, the thing I like about him, he kicks for the top of the posts, and that's the way to kick at goal. 20 minutes gone on the second quarter.
Still a bit to endure here in this second term. 13-6 to 3-1. Claremont lead. O'Brien now in the centre square, and he's taken high.
What are the free kick tally, Ken?
That's West Perth's 9th kick. 11 to Claremont, now 9 to West Perth.
From almost in the centre circle, O'Brien sends West Perth forward. Hall will fly, but Owen's up in front. Very safe.
Good pair of hands, isn't he?
Panizza brings the ball across the face of the ground. Terrible kick. And there is beaten for it by O'Brien. O'Brien goes back towards goal. He's got another one. So West Perth starting to show a little spirit now. And I think O'Brien might be playing in the centre.
Well, that really was a terrible kick from Panizza. And he has been fairly careless with his kicking since he's come onto the ground. We've seen him 2 or 3 times go straight across the ground, and that time missed kicking in endeavouring to go straight down the ground with a short kick. And that type of football is fraught with danger. And if Claremont get a bit complacent here, and West Perth gain a little bit from those last couple of goals, then they could make that scoreboard look a bit more respectable by half-time.
It's not a bad viewing point.
What did she say then, Trev?
I think she said go home wild. There's
Am
the
I
bounce.
allowed to?
Good straight one. Yeah. Even Stevens, the whistle has sounded. Interference to Hazel. Right in the centre circle. Good kick to full forward. Out they come. Cullen! All of a sudden they look a bit better, but they certainly needed to. It was the most pathetic performance we'd seen. That's an intelligent mark, Keith, and a clever mark.
He looks a bit useful to me, Cullen. I haven't seen him before. How many games he played for West Perth? Only a couple? Last week, was it?
I've never cast eyes on Cullen in a league football match before, and that was a spectacular mark.
Yeah, it looks a bit useful. A couple of free kicks out of the middle help, of course.
From 50 metres out, drop punch sailing goalward. He's brought up 3, and West Perth have kicked the last 3 goals in as many minutes.
Well, the 3 goals have come from a missed kick from Panizza, very careless kick from him, that allowed O'Brien in, and then 2 very opportunist free kicks out of the middle of the ground, which West Perth have made good use of. Now, there is a saying that you can be in and out of form all in the same game, and that's a spectacular mark by Matt Cullen going right over the top. But that should do a little bit for West Perth's morale, and it'll be very interesting now to see how Claremont react to those 3 goals.
Margin back to 51 points.
West Perth kicking with the breeze,
53, I'm sorry.
So Higgins doing the ruck work for Claremont, beaten for it by Hazel on that occasion. O'Malley is in there now. No one able to take it away cleanly. O'Brien, it wasn't O'Brien, it was Williams who appeared to be pulled out of the pack. It's eventually Miles who gets a kick in. It'll land close to the boundary. Bounces back into play, which makes life a little bit awkward for Hasler. Anir is with him. He's got good support from Mifka. Mifka down towards the half-forward line, and here come West Perth again. The mark missed by Panizza, beautifully read off hands by Lewis. Into the centre of the ground, this is Higgins. He'll need to pick it up cleanly because Riggs is converging on him. Oh, he got out of that tackle far too easily. Gives Pike the run of the ball. Pike back towards full forward. Here's Ridley in front of Repacholi, taken off hands by Palm. He's got no one to give it to. That's gone over Sadowski's head. Repacholi got his fist to the ball, and the ball will be thrown in just inside Claremont's 50-metre line. But the West Perth defence that time did a lot better.
Nice to see them all running together, Wal, giving support. All wanted to be in it.
And now Repacholi called on to do the ruck work. Chance there for Thorne. Not out of, yes, it was out of play. I was waiting for the umpire's whistle.
You're right too, Keith. O'Brien into the centre, Curse onto Mitchell.
Boundary throw in at left half forward for Claremont. O'Connell using his body, neither ruckman getting hand to ball. Cormac's hand pass was smothered by Williams. Higgins with a hand pass. Oh, that player, Urquhart, went straight back into trouble but was taken high and has the free kick. 23 minutes gone. There you saw the high tackle, almost lost his ear. Williams with a short kick to O'Brien. Away he goes. He'll kick straight through the centre of the ground, but there's no one to kick it to. Han a chance. Panizza. He's got 2 options. And there's a third that I hadn't seen. Miles has it. Now O'Malley is loose. And now Guard is loose if he can get it to him. But he's backpedaling.
Looks a bit useful, O'Malley, doesn't he? Moves like a footballer.
O'Malley from on the half-forward line puts it towards full forward. Two West Perth players spoiling one another. They need to do something decisive back there. Palm's hand pass went nowhere. O'Connell has pulled off it. Hazel gets the kick. Chance for Hand. Crashing into him was O'Brien. Davies takes it out of defence.
Oh.
Not a good hand pass. Hasler's run down. As a result, his hand pass is stolen by Pike. Pike is the attacking side of centre wing. Claremont not out of trouble yet. Good tackle. Hands holding the ball.
Oh, geez. Umpire O'Reilly's 30 metres away.
He's going
a
to
good
bounce.
view of that, I thought.
Yeah, through the traffic he did. Miles has got to go for the tap. Hazel beat him, but they ran out of room. Davies did anyway. 53 points that margin as we go into time on in the second quarter. And West Perth at least giving their supporters a little bit of hope with that flow of goals, sequence of goals. It bounced away from Hand, but he got it to Pike. Good football. Pike hugs the boundary. It clears Sadowski. Guard is there with him, Hasler. They wrestle at ground level. Hasler's got to push it out. Guard and Higgins dive in on top of it. Umpire O'Reilly coming in to bounce it down about 30 metres out from the Tigers' goal. Some worried faces there, well.
It's called doing time at Leederville Oval.
That's an awkward bounce. Up goes Hazel, wins the tap. Down to Hasler, tackled by Evans. He was too slow. Cormac swoops, and a long shot at goal is offline and through for the minor score. Helped through by Repacholi. There's Joey Cormac. What are the stats on him so far, Ken?
2 marks, 9 kicks and 5 effective hand passes. So 14 disposals by Cormac, who had a brilliant first quarter with 7 kicks.
Into time on in the second quarter. Good kick by Repacholi. He's put that right out in front of Palm, who shrugs the tackle from Cormac. Kicks to the half-forward line where a player is loose. That's Hall. Not a bad player if given opportunities, Hall. He eludes 2 oncoming players. I'm not sure about Pike's commitment. In it goes towards full forward. Cullen has thwarted this time. He comes back. Snap on goal. It's pretty close. He's got his 4th. He's had a very good second quarter, Matt Cullen. And West Perth now starting to show or make some impression on the scoreboard. They moved to 6-1. They've kicked 5 goals in this quarter. Claremont at 13-7.
Yep, and there's Hall. You called it right because he is a very promising player, this young man. A bit short for a centre-half forward. And watch the roving of Cullen. He's taken a couple of good marks. That's superbly played, and he bangs it through on the right foot. But nicely set up by Graham Kirst, now playing on a half-back flank. It was he that was able to deliver the ball with good effect into the half-forward line.
What a game for both full forwards, Keith.
Yeah, they're having a ball, aren't they? Well, they kicked about 12 between them.
10 between them.
10 between them.
6 to Ridley and 4 to Cullen.
Cullen kicked 4 last week, Keith, and I think that was his debut game.
Cullen 4 in this quarter, I think.
Yes. He's got 4 in this quarter, yes.
48 points the margin. Wasley and Higgins even Stevens. Struck it upfield by Williams into the path of Del Borello. Williams followed the play forward. Low kick towards Cullen. He's outside centre half forward, but he gave it straight to Higgins, who was run down from behind. The ball being held to him. And umpire Phil O'Reilly coming in to bounce it down 35 metres out from the Falcons' goal.
Foolish free kick from Cullen. Gave his teammate absolutely no chance.
Higgins gets in front, knocks it down to Beresford through the traffic. Go to Miles somehow. He hand passed it away. It's pushed through the traffic to Thorne. He's got some time. Miles is the backup. Short kick finds Panizza at right half back for Claremont. Drives around the boundary. Backing back into trouble then. Out there was Urquhart. It comes to O'Malley, who feeds an ear. Sends him away. He runs through half forward. 40 metres out. 35. 30. Goes for the pass to Cormac. That was silly football. Should have had a shot. He was spoiled by Palm and now cleared away by Kirst back towards the wing. Up goes Pike. Best to recover. Gives it to Evans. Evans went for a bounce. He didn't really need to. He's a very clever footballer. Finds O'Malley outside 50.
And kick it.
O'Malley, long shot on goal. It's coming back. Ridley's there. Spoiled by Repacholi. Ridley's got it again. But Palm knocks it through. That was meant for Cormac. One behind the result.
one gets the opinion that there's not a lot of football left for John O'Neill. You know, he's finding it very hard to play in this competition. Made some glaring mistakes this afternoon.
This is Urquhart. Keith, I was about to say if Claremont had a reserve, I reckon both Pike and Anea would be under scrutiny at this moment. West Perth take the ball around the outer side of the ground. They've got Brooks and Mann off the ground with injuries that might prevent them from coming back. Nathan Higgins missed that mark, and he's had a very quiet afternoon. Anea scrambles the kick away. Han appeared to be tripped from the sitting position, relieves possession and goes across towards Panizza, who has put it out of play on the full.
And he's made a
Brooks.
He's made a few blues too, hasn't he? Daryl Panizza. And these guys really in the twilight of their career. Young Brooks bruised ribs earlier in the quarter.
And they're under pressure in this side. You know, you've got players like Scott Edwards still playing reserves and Ryan Turnbull, who's not going to replace any of those smaller players, of course, but they can't afford to make a hash of things out there. Williams taken high and he'll get the kick.
It's interesting that Claremont, since West Perth have got a bit of a run on, have made a few mistakes, haven't they? Which proves they're only human.
Yeah, a bit of pressure.
Yeah, maybe they've got a little bit complacent, and West Perth just got a few things going right for them, but it's been a good contest the last 10 minutes.
Well, they've still been outscored 7-5 in this quarter.
You can't give away starts like they did, though.
That's right, Trev. And there goes the kick from Williams. Good kick, too, from Malcolm Williams. And he brings up the 7th goal for West Perth. They're 7-1, and he's got 2 of those 7. And Claremont are 13-8. But at least we have a contest, even if the result would appear to be well and truly in Claremont's grasp.
Well, I'm very interested to see how Claremont react to a little bit of pressure here, because they had the initiative. They've lost it momentarily. Now, in the last 10 minutes, they'd made more mistakes than they'd made for the rest of the game. And Swans and Southie, man, that's a good game up at Bassendean Oval. And Perth and East Perth all locked up.
Yeah, pretty good game there too at Lathlane. So, as you saw by that scoreline, Claremont a double West Perth score. And we must be very close to half-time. But at least West Perth have lifted when their heads were hung very low in the early part of this quarter. Wasley, a tap for O'Brien. He's improved. He was pushed out of it, kicked upfield by Urquhart. Del Barello tackled by Lewis and dispossessed. Good play. Got it to Higgins, tackled by Curse. Back to Lewis. On he goes to Mitchell. He's been a bit quieter in this quarter. This is effective, though, as he goes for Ridley. Oh, he missed the mark he should have possibly taken.
Lucky not to give away a kick again there, Rapacharlie.
Socked by O'Brien, but lands with Anea. He goes on goal. Palm and Cormac. Almost a one-hander. Back comes Palm. Evans is there. Pushes it to O'Connell, who gets a goal from point-blank range. That's what West Perth didn't need. But just pushing it forward, surging forward, and Claremont getting it to O'Connell.
Yeah, I thought they were a bit soft again then, West Perth. It's well played by young Evans. Cormac not taking the mark. Beautifully pushed on by Tony Evans, and the pop through it goes from David O'Connell just in time. But in the middle of the field, in that sortie forward, West Perth weren't persistent with their tackles. Had they been persistent and tackled Lewis hard, he made a couple of fumbles, but he had time to still go on with it.
Well, that was a goal that the game didn't need from an interest point of view. 14-8 to 7-1. Higgins, a decisive knock down to Thorne. Hurried kick lands with Hasler. Hasler towards the outer wing. Leading in the race is Panizza. Almost run down by Higgins. High kick to the half-forward line and Curses under it. 31 minutes, 32 minutes gone in this second quarter. It's a long quarter because of the number of goals kicked. Mifka takes a clever mark. He's been
second best player.
How many marks, Ken?
4 marks. That's his 9th kick.
And that's a big kick too, a long kick towards centre half forward, but it lands with Scott.
Well read.
John Scott, who has conceded 4 goals to his marksman in this second quarter. O'Malley is the target, was carried under the ball by Higgins. Riggs has it to centre half forward. Good kick and a good mark taken by Hazel. The surface is obviously very loose down there. We saw Peter Mann slip earlier. We saw Hall. We saw Cullen lose his footing, and now Hazel. But Hazel has been able to hang on to the mark.
We had a fair bit of rain yesterday, didn't we?
Did it rain yesterday?
Well, a fair bit. Where were you?
Just trying to work it out, actually. Hazel from just inside 50 metres. That's a good kick. Gee, we've seen some long goals kicked at that southern end of the ground this afternoon. And West Perth now have their 8th. They are 8-1, trailing Claremont 14-8. Good kicking by both sides, Keith.
Well, there's 15 goals in this quarter, so it's going to be a long quarter. Hazel obviously has an ability, but I haven't seen him do a lot in the games I've seen him play. And maybe he hasn't quite found his niche in football yet, but that...
Maybe he needs a set position, Keith.
Yeah, a very good goal, that one. And the thing I liked about the goals West Perth have kicked in this quarter is that they've kicked them long and high and with intelligence, because they're kicking with the breeze.
You saw some players of the future waiting for the Little League match. There's the bounce. No clean tap, but Higgins knocks it wide of the pack.
Dear.
O'Malley, O'Brien did well. Committed his body there, but he spun back into guard. The crumbs come to Urquhart. Urquhart drives the Falcons forward again. Cullen nudged underneath it by Scott. Umpire is on the ball. Del Barello, play on call. Kicks on goal, but Owens is there.
Why wouldn't you let
it out of bounds?
Why wouldn't you let Cullen take that kick? He's kicked 3.
One wonders about the advantage rule, but then West Perth, by playing on, indicated they wanted the advantage paid.
Well, Del Barello did anyway.
Who's in this boundary throw-in? Hazel worked his way to the front. Lewis ran into Williams. That's it back, but only as far as Del Barello, who snaps. And Owens takes a great catch.
That's a goal, I think.
No, he's paid the mark.
Oh, he has
No.
too. Gee, I thought the goal umpire wanted to be part of that decision.
I did too.
Scott has got it now, though. And again, the good Claremont run as Beresford boots it upfield for his captain. Han, he's just inside the line. Higgins was closing. He brings it in field for Anea, who takes a good diving mark in front of Graham Curse. Now, that means Mitchell's loose somewhere.
He'll come across ground to Cormac.
Yep. But there's the half-time siren. So, really a very entertaining a quarter of football. West Perth added 7 goals and Claremont 8 in that term of football. West Perth 8 goals, 1, 49. Claremont are 14 goals, 8, 92. 92 plays 49. Let's check other grounds as the players leave for half-time. Swan District's leading South Fremantle only by a goal, and East Perth leading Perth by a margin of 9 points. Here at Leederville Oval, Todd Ridley has booted 6 goals for the Tigers, and for West Perth, Matt Cullen has booted 4. 92 plays 49 in favour of the Claremont side.
Watch where you're going, George.
West Perth leaving, Keith, and I'd say George McCullough could have a fair bit to say to them about that first quarter of football.
Well, they might have just saved themselves a real blast, mightn't they, in the last 10 minutes when they did show something. But the first half of that quarter was again all Claremont, and they looked such a classy side that one wondered how many goals they would kick. It was the Todd Ridley story early in the quarter, because he was on the recipient of some magnificent passes, no pressure being applied in the midfield, and West Perth, Claremont doing exactly as they wanted. O'Connell and Higgins totally on top. Cormac and Thorne roving superbly. Evans came into the game and made the 3rd brilliant rover in that quarter, and of course Ridley was doing everything right at full forward. West Perth made a change, which was a telling one. They brought O'Brien into the middle and Curse went out onto a half-back flank, and I thought the move worked very well indeed, because all of a sudden O'Brien appeared to be quite relieved to get away from Mitchell, who he couldn't hold at all. Gave him a bit of freedom in the middle of the ground, and his good long raking left foot kicks were telling, and Curse did well on a half-back flank. A couple of free kicks out of the middle, and West Perth all of a sudden had grabbed the initiative, and they put on about 4 quick goals, and for the last half of the quarter I thought it was a very good contest indeed. Unfortunately, as far as the game is concerned, West Perth a bit out of their depth because they'd played so badly early.
As comments from Keith Slater following our half-time sport news program. We'll be back talking to a former Essendon and West Perth stalwart in Colin Hebbard. Glenn Mitchell will speak with him. Then Ken Casellas will be along to give you all the stats on the first half and to see why Claremont have built up this lead of 43 points. From Leederville Oval, we leave you with our program of sport news. See you back in about 15 minutes from now.
Today, Andre Gomez and Andre Agassi through to the final of this year's French Open. A sensational start to the 1990 World Cup with the Cameroons defeating defending champions Argentina. And in rugby league, the Canberra Raiders meet their nemesis at the Parramatta Stadium. Hello, I'm Karen Tai. Thanks for joining us. Also today, all the results from this weekend's Basketball League and AFL games. The first to Eagle Farm in Brisbane for the Queensland Derby. The track was heavy and the pre-race favourite Solar Circle was scratched at the barrier on veterinary advice.
The race in two with Ray's Hope now on the outside and Rough Habit. Ray's Hope, Rough Habit, they're battling it out. Castletown's moving to third, but Rough Habit kicked again on the inside of Ray's Hope, who can't go on, and Rough Habit is starting to move away now. It's an all New Zealand finish with Rough Habit winning, Ray's Hope second.
So a Kiwi trifecta in the Queensland Derby. Number 6 Rough Habit home, the equal favourite at 4-1. Followed by Ray's Hope at 10-1 and Castletown at 9-1. Unplaced equal favourite Stargazer. Now to the big one, race 5, the Stradbroke Handicap.
Between them, but Plush Embassy's holding to the lead. Plush Embassy in front. Arc Regal on the outside, can't get to him. Plush Embassy fights back and wins. Plush Embassy first.
Victorian horse Plush Embassy collecting the rich Stradbroke purse at 9-1, ahead of Arc Regal at 12-1, and the equal favourite Isle coming in third at 8-1. Finally to Sydney and Randwick, race 6, the June Stakes.
Followed by Mariinsky and High Regard, but it's all West Dancer with 100 to go. He's 3 or 4 in front of Miss Comanche, who can't go any better, and West Dancer's going to run out an easy winner. A double for Malcolm Johnston as West Dancer goes on to beat.
A convincing win there to West Dancer at 7-1. Miss Comanche second, the 3-1 equal favourite with, just the favourite, with High Regard third at 9-2. The French Open moves into its final 2 days after last night's men's semi-finals at the Roland Garros Stadium in Paris. Andre Gomez of Ecuador beat Austria's Thomas Muster in 3 sets, and American Andre Agassi assured himself of a spot in the final with a 4-set victory over Sweden's Jonas Svensson.
Mindful of the World Cup soccer, Andres Gomez put the boot in early against Thomas Muster. The Austrian was rarely in this, and although both men are clay court specialists, Gomez looked much more at home, taking the first 2 sets 7-5, 6-1, and showing a willingness to come to the net. Muster later confessed he didn't handle the wind as well as his opponent. Gomez hadn't got past the quarters at Roland Garros before, but says he's drawn extra motivation from the absence of Ivan Lendl. The other semi was more even, with Andre Agassi conceding a set to Jonas Svensson of Sweden. Early on, though, it looked like the American would make quick work of it as he raced to a 6-1, 5-love lead. Svensson's comeback lasted only as long as the 3rd set, Agassi's newfound patience seeing him through. For both Gomez and Agassi, it'll be their first Grand Slam final.
This is it, this is what it all boils down to, so I'm going to go in there on fire, ready to do it.
Well, after years of build-up, the 1990 Soccer World Cup finally kicked off last night when defending champions Argentina took on the Cameroons. The opening ceremony of the 14th World Cup was a designer affair. Argentina's superstar captain Diego Maradona received the sort of attention he's become used to, but 3 yellow and 2 red cards against the Cameroons reflected tough FIFA guidelines rather than vicious play.
It's a red card.
The ageing Argentinians rarely looked threatening, and it was up to the underdogs to provide the excitement.
It's just muddled away in the end.
The Cameroons' willingness to attack paid off in the 66th minute when man of the match Oman Biak rose to Burton.
Well, it isn't.
And for regional viewers, starting at 10-1 tomorrow morning Eastern Standard Time, you can see the United Arab Emirates play Colombia, the USSR take on Romania, and host country Italy up against Austria. Now to football of a different kind, but much closer to home. And the first rugby test between Australia and France was played this afternoon. And whereas most of Australia saw the game live, Sydney viewers can catch it today straight after sports news at 5 o'clock. To basketball, and last night the Adelaide 36ers, despite the absence of star centre Mark Davis, had a convincing win over Hobart by 8 points. Hobart have made some poor starts this season. Last night was no exception. But by the end of the first quarter, they trailed by just 3 and began to look in with a chance. Perimeter shooting kept Adelaide in front, though. Veteran Al Green hit a bundle of long ones in his 34 points, despite some misdirected passes.
You expect the drinks and the eats, but you don't expect the basketball on the end of the nose, do you?
The Devils can always count on a big game from Wayne McDaniel, and that's what he provided, a game high of 39.
Oh, McDaniel, that's a great shot.
At half-time, only 1 point separated the sides. The final quarter made it a 4-point game, and at that stage, it could have gone either way. But the Devils finished as they started, letting Adelaide run away 126 to 118.
And in other games last night, Brisbane down in Perth, the Gold Coast, their third win of the season, and table leaders North Melbourne a big win over Illawarra. And tonight, Sydney take on Westside, Newcastle meet Geelong, Eastside are at home to Perth, and Canberra are up against Illawarra. And in the Women's National League last night, the Bulleen Boomers ended Melbourne's unbeaten run with an 11-point win.
The Melbourne Tigers in the red made a typically aggressive start. Then Bulleen produced an amazing run of baskets. This one an easy 2 points for Cheryl Chambers. Melbourne relinquished a huge number of turnovers. Debbie Slimmons took advantage here. She top scored for Bulleen with 18. At half-time, Bulleen led by 11 and increased that to 20 during the final term. Melbourne recovered slightly during the second half, but couldn't recover the deficit. Final score, 72 to 61.
And also last night, Perth, a 27-point win over West Adelaide. Well, over the next 10 days, Australia will play host to two of the world's most exciting netballing nations, the current world champions New Zealand and fourth-ranked England in the 1990 Johnson & Johnson International Netball Series. The teams gathered together in Sydney this week to launch the series before heading to Perth, where the tournament begins tonight.
Now in its third year, the J&J Cup has been the perfect indicator of just how popular netball is in Australia. Last year's series against the West Indies was played before capacity crowds. Pre-game ticket sales this year are already indicating packed houses at each venue, with a crowd of over 10,000 expected for the final at Sydney's Entertainment Centre.
I think we're now in the enviable position that we can sell out capacity stadiums wherever we are. We're looking, I'd say, to having a very good turn up at this Sydney Entertainment Centre, so we're hoping to nudge the Kings and let them know we can do it, as can basketball, and I think it's great.
Australia has won the previous two series, and captain Michelle Felke gives a lot of credit to the home crowd advantage.
Hearing that crowd cheering, the wave going, the hype up, the kids, it was just fantastic. And when you're one goal down, you need something. Sometimes you just need that little bit of support. It lifts you enough to want to win for your country.
This year, the series has expanded to include 3 countries. Traditional rivals New Zealand and Australia, ranked 1 and 2 in the world, and 4th placed England. New Zealand has dominated netball since 1987, when it stole the world crown from Australia at the World Championships in Glasgow. Such is the strength of netball in New Zealand, the TV coverage of the sport ranks second only to rugby union. However, at this year's Commonwealth Games in Auckland, the Kiwis' supremacy faltered when Australia defeated them by 18 points in a demonstration game. Their side, though, was missing their 2 most experienced players, who have both returned for this competition, something Captain Wai Tamano believes will make a significant difference.
The New Zealand team that went to the Commonwealth Games was a squad of 10, and New Zealand in general carries a squad of 12, so we're back up to 12, and Sandra Edge and myself are back in the team. We weren't there at the time. And we've also added 3 new youngsters, Pania Papa, Karen Topping and Cheryl Waite, and we have high hopes for them in the future, but perhaps they may not get on the court this series.
In contrast, England are relatively inexperienced on the international circuit. This series will give them much-needed competition before next year's World Championships here in Australia. Each team faces a demanding schedule of 6 games, stretching from Perth through Adelaide and Melbourne to the final in Sydney. If anything, the tournament will present a vast contrast in styles. Australia are known for a fast, low-to-the-ground game, while New Zealand and England play a more aerial style. The series opens tonight at the Superdome in Perth, with England up against Western Australia and Australia taking on New Zealand.
And ABC will be covering both Melbourne Internationals plus the final in Sydney. And you can catch them on our Grandstand series, July 7 and 14. Check your local guides for details. Round 11 of the Winfield Cup means we're already halfway through the season. And last night, Eels veterans Sterling, Kenny and Goodwin combined to outraid the Raiders at Parramatta Stadium.
Parramatta hadn't won 2 on the trot this season going into last night's game, but there was an early determination to change that, with Danny Krankovic scoring after 6 minutes following good work by Brian Jackson.
They've started the right way, the Eels. Krankovic has got it.
The Eels turned on some bone-jarring tackles and grafted their way to a 7-0 lead, Sterling the field goal.
Looking for the one-pointer, and he's got it.
Reputations went west as Para Power resurfaced. And Queensland's state of origin hopes went out the window, with Meninga damaging a hamstring in this awkward kick for goal. He's in serious doubt for Wednesday. Matt Goodwin continues to string together the big games. Maybe his representative career isn't over. Sterling and Kenny were masterful in engineering the Eels' second try. They may both have lost a yard of pace, but they made the ball sing as they set up Lydiard, then Krenkovic, who may have scored on his own, but he was taking no chances. Jackson's try was his 4th in 2 games.
Jackson's got it.
Canberra needed a comeback of grand final proportions. O'Sullivan and Belcher tried to start one.
Try. They've hit back.
But Parramatta dug deep. Their defence held the Raiders out, and they wrapped it up with Joe Bartolo touching down in the dying minutes.
Looks for support. Got it away to Lydiard. Oh, they're in the corner.
It was the defenders' legs which took out the corner post. Parramatta deserving their 17-8 win.
And today, Saturday's Super League was up at Newcastle, where the Knights took on Canterbury Bankstown. Now, some areas didn't get the game live because of the rugby union test. We can't give you the result, but Warren Boland can give us a taste of the action.
Thanks, Karen. Yes, I won't tell you who won the game, but I can tell you that it was a hard-fought encounter, free-flowing, because the referee made sure there was a good 5 metres, 20,000 people in attendance, so there was plenty of atmosphere. Let's have a look at one of the attacking moves. No one either left or right. Here they come with Thomas. Out it goes to Corcoran. Jamie Corcoran for the line, and Corcoran scores. Canterbury on the attack here. Joe Thomas fades wide, gets the pass out to Jamie Corcoran, who really did set himself for the line. He leaves Jeff Doyle and Steve Fulmer grasping, and a good try there to Canterbury Bankstown. But I can assure you that if you haven't seen the match, it is well worth watching and a fine example of rugby league. So stick around, those states who haven't seen it yet.
Thanks, Warren. Well, no Friday night AFL this week, but today it was top of the table Essendon against third-placed West Coast. Essendon opened an early lead in this scrappy wind-affected game. The Eagles fought back hard, but a final quarter burst from the Bombers put paid to their hopes, with the home side romping home by 39 points.
He's put it through.
And in other matches today, Geelong downing St Kilda 16-16 to 15-14, and the Hawks demolishing a depleted Swans outfit by 49 points. Tomorrow, Brisbane are at home to Collingwood, and on Monday, Melbourne take on Carlton, Fitzroy meet North Melbourne, and Footscray are up against Richmond. Well, that's it for sports news this week. We'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Leederville Oval. I trust you're enjoying this telecast on the ABC network of the match of the day, West Perth and Claremont. And of course, earlier in the day today, the West Coast Eagles journeyed to Windy Hill to play Essendon. And our half-time guest today, a gentleman that played with distinction with both West Perth and Essendon, Colin Hebbard. Good afternoon, Colin.
Good afternoon, Glenn.
And of course, Colin, nowadays you have an involvement with the Essendon Football Club.
I still do. I haven't lost that touch with the club, and it's mainly because I look after their recruiting at this stage, Glenn.
And of course, we have the national draft now. Maybe you'd like to outline how the draft operates against the old days when it was an open slather.
Quite a different kettle of fish now, because we have to actually now be very selective of what we're looking for as a player. And in the case of young players, we've got to select for what the team needs. And as you can see, you only got the chance of one choice at a different location down the draft scale. So you've got to be very selective. So Essendon's very selective where they go to pick their players. It's quite different from what it was in the old days when we had Form 4 situation.
A lot of talk nowadays that the draft has made a greater equality across the AFL. Would you agree with that, Colin?
Yes, I think so, because that gives the people and the clubs at the lower levels a chance to be able to pick what considered to be the better players in the league. For argument's sake, they'd pick the better players that are playing here after the Eagles have had their choices. Yes, it does. It makes it much more equal than what it used to be.
The presence of the West Coast Eagles here in WA, does it make it harder for AFL clubs to draft Western Australian players?
Yes, it does, because they still got a choice. They can pick up pick the eyes out of some of the younger players, which I think is fair anyway. And I think it's probably a little bit unfair somewhere along the way for the Eagles too, but they haven't got a choice to go elsewhere, or haven't got people looking in other areas of Australia.
Of course, Colin, you retired from football in 1966. What changes, or how do you compare the level of football played in the State League against when you gave the game away?
The skill level is still much the same, except it's a lot quicker, Glenn. It's a lot. The game has changed, and I think that, really speaking, the older players that played in the 20 years ago would still be good enough to hold their own, providing they met the standards of the training needs and the skill levels that they've got today.
Okay, terrific. Thanks very much for that, Colin. Enjoy the rest of the game today.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Okay, Rob.
Glenn Mitchell talking to former Essendon and West Perth rugged man, Colin Hebbard. By gee, when you were hit by Colin, Keith, you stayed hit.
He's the only man that has taken Billy Walker out of a football game, and Billy was pretty clever, and I reckon Colin took him out twice in his career.
Thanks to Glenn for that interview down there with Colin here at Leederville Oval. We're still waiting for the second half to resume, and in the first half, Claremont getting away with the lead of 43 points. At quarter time, they led by 34 points. Ken Casillas, who have been some of the players that have contributed to that lead.
Well, Claremont have had many good players, and one of them is Miles, playing on a half-back flank, and then he moved into centre-half-back, and Miles, who's been relegated from the Eagles side, has certainly appreciated the drop in standard here, playing in the State Football League, and he's certainly played well today with his 13 kicks, 6 in the first quarter and 7 in the second quarter. But even though West Perth have had 87 kicks in the first half to Claremont's tally of 127, John Riggs, their very pacey wingman, has shone with his 13 kicks opposed to Don Pike. Peter Thorne, a brilliant ruck rover for Claremont with his 12 kicks. Panizza, playing in a half-back flank, has had 11 kicks, but he's made a few mistakes. Kevin Mitchell playing well on a half-forward flank with 9, and Joe Cormack roving with 9.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Let's go down to Glenn Mitchell on the boundary.
Yes, George McCalgic feels that his players didn't run on enough in the early part of that quarter. He wants them to forget about the first half. He believes that Claremont won the first half apart from the last 15 minutes, and he wants them to carry that intensity into this second half. He also wants the following division to pick up players like O'Connell, Higgins, Thorne and Cormack, who did a lot of damage. Jim Cross, speaking to him from the Claremont club, the team manager, has said that Peter Mann's injury, the hamstring, is worse than we thought first of all. The club doctor thinks it could be a 4 to 6 week injury, which would be very unfortunate for him in regard to his state representation. Also, Nathan Brooks, it's been confirmed he does have bruised ribs.
Thanks to Glenn Mitchell, our boundary rider again today. Your best player on the ground so far, Keith?
Hard to pick best on ground. Claremont, Cormac, Thorne, Evans, Ridley, Mitchell, Miles, all very good players. Riggs, outstanding for West Perth.
Second half gets underway. Bounce favours Wosley, clean possession, onto Davies, across his body to half forward. Up goes Riggs, confronted by Miles. Good contest by both players there. Panizza shovels it out. In goes Hall. Out the bottom of the pack is Miles. And as you saw from Ken's stats, one of the best players on the ground in the first half. There's number 40, Daryl Panizza.
O'Brien retained in the centre, Curse on a half-back flank.
O'Connell beats Hazel, knocked away by Williams. Up goes Hazel again, then gets the ball and kicks to full forward, but it's all Claremont, and the mark taken by Owens, a safe and reliable defender. George McCalgic looking on. The kick to the defensive 50-metre line lands with Mifka.
West Perth's second best player.
Mifka goes for the pass to Williams. He's very elusive around the forward area. He's marked 40 metres out, directly in front. There's the opposition number.
Been a handy player, Malcolm Williams. This will be his 10th kick. He had 5 in the first quarter, 4 in the second.
Ken Casillas, our statistician as always, as Malcolm Williams shoots for goal number 3. He set it up, it's coming back, a good kick, but just offline. And one behind the result. Would have been a handy one, Wal.
One they needed.
Yeah, they certainly do.
That breeze has dropped right away. Very little breeze at all here at Leederville Oval now.
Scott goes straight down the centre, and that will land in the centre square. That was a big kick, but landed with hand after Mifka had missed the mark. Del Borello gets the hand pass to Riggs. Riggs chips it into a vacant space at centre half forward, and Hall goes up and pulls down the mark.
Should have punched away then, Miles Speed.
Yes, I think he thought that that Cullen was coming over the top.
He tried to punch.
And he was trying to make sure he was in position to spoil both. And the man in front took the mark.
There goes the shot at goal from Hall. Well, 2 golden opportunities have gone begging in the opening minutes of this third quarter as far as West Perth are concerned. If they're going to get back into this game, they need goals, and they need them very quickly. 2 points have resulted from 2 deliberate shots at goal. Kick into play was intended for Thorne. He did well to break Del Borello's tackle. Grubbers the kick towards O'Malley. It lands with Guard. Guard goes across towards Cormac. Perhaps a kick would have been better in that situation.
I don't think he's got a left foot, Wal.
Thorne is loose on the half-forward line. Foxing for the free kick. Got rid of 2 West Perth players. O'Malley kicks it back in the direction of Higgins. That was a good kick. And Higgins will shoot for goal from about 40 metres. And I think Sadowski is now marking Higgins, which means that Repacholi has gone on to Ridley. And
O'Malley has a lethal left foot. Guard maybe no left foot. O'Malley a beautiful left foot kick.
There goes the kick from Higgins, and he may have missed too. So misses at both ends of the ground.
He has no trouble with distance, does he, the big man Higgins? He was a long kicker of that football. In fact, he's had more kicks today than I think I've seen him in any other game.
Repacholi puts the ball back into play. Prodigious kick, pinpoint pass, and Sadowski's underneath it. Too tall for Pike there. A kick, I don't know about that. It's close to the boundary. It was meant for Kerrs, but not a great deal of system there. He's had a pretty dark day, really.
Yes, made some mistakes. Made some mistakes, hasn't he? And that was another one.
Just a nothing kick around the boundary. Wosley from behind. Couldn't get a clean tap. Takes possession, gives it to Davies. Kick smothered by Pike. Back comes Davies. Hand pass to the captain, Hasler. Under pressure from Guard. Gets away from him. Gets a run call from Higgins, but he went without it. He left the station, but he wasn't on board. O'Malley goes looking for Ridley. Good play, good defensive work. Repacholi rebounded Davies, spins off Ridley, gives it away to Urquhart. And Urquhart again goes very wide, but this time it should land with Riggs. He picks it up just inside the boundary. Thought about the hand pass to Kerrs. Goes to half forward. Miles wrestling with Hall. Miles first one back. Good shepherding by Scott. Allows Miles some time, and Scott time and time again is able to run this ball out of defence. It's a long way out from goals, and that's a pretty good pass too that finds John Anea.
Anea comes across into the centre of the ground, and he's found O'Connell. On it goes quickly to Evans. It's not Evans, it's Beresford, I think, who kicks down towards full forward, and Ridley with this one, a good mark taken by David Palm.
Don't do that again.
Palm at the top of the goal square, kicks back towards the half-back line, and he's found Mifka.
Beautiful kick.
Mifka thought about running up to the man on the mark and laying off the hand pass, I think. He's very indecisive. He's squeezed in against the boundary line as he kicks towards centre wing. It slipped through Higgins' hands. First back to it is Panizza. Mitchell is loose in the centre. Comes back towards the wing. Hand goes over the top to accommodate Cormac. Cormac kicks inside 50 metres. Sadowski judged it well. Hand passes to Del Borello. Del Borello from left half-back kicks to centre wing was a poor kick, and Panizza will get a free kick.
Well, Del Borello needs to do a lot more. What's his stats for a rover, Ken?
He's had 8 kicks. 2 of those 8 kicks have gone to a man, and he's been a fairly ineffective player.
Yep, he's got a lift.
What sort of a day has Nathan Higgins had?
Absolutely terrible. 1 kick only to Nathan Higgins as he hand passes across to Malcolm Williams there.
He was best player in a game that we saw only a couple of weeks ago. Who was that against? East Fremantle, was it?
That was right. Yeah. East Fremantle played a brilliant game.
This is Miles now, hemmed on the boundary. Under pressure, he missed kicks, taken by Mifka. Straight back towards the goal line, but taken by Owens. Now Lewis. The Claremont defence combining well again. Pike, who's playing on the outer wing this quarter against Riggs.
In defence of Nathan Higgins, while he's had the flu this week, it could be affecting him.
Sure. There goes the kick in towards the centre square. Wosley over the top, spoils O'Connell.
Effective.
Chance for Riggs at the front of the pack. Away he goes. It's Urquhart, not Riggs. Short kick was intercepted by Pike.
All's well.
Touches it on the ground, brings it back towards centre half-back. Anea misses a sitter, gives O'Brien a chance. Collided solidly with Owens. West Perth have it. Cullen hooks it towards full forward. Beresford is there. Williams is with him. Socket by Higgins to his own advantage. Looks back to the top of the square. It was intended for Cullen. He trapped it pretty well. Miles hand passes to no one in particular. Scott picks it up. And now Lewis is loose on centre wing. That was a telling kick. Clever mark, but he's in stride. He's run down by Mifka, pushed in the back. Probably the correct decision, but there wasn't a lot in it. Kicks to half forward. Thorne over the top. Play on is the call. Down it goes towards Ridley. Up over the top, takes a great mark.
Very good mark.
That was a very good mark by Todd Ridley, but I'm not sure about Thorne's mark. I thought he was coming from behind.
Now Thorne getting mixed up.
Yes, it's on behind play.
Is that Nathan Higgins? I think it might be.
But gee, what a mark.
Angelo Del Borello.
Del Borello, is it? Yeah.
Pair of threes. Here goes Ridley shooting for his 7th. He's got it. The West Perth crowd not happy, as you can hear. 7 now to Ridley, and I think most of their discontent is in regards to this push in the back. Let's have another look. I think he did push him. Oh, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Throw it away first.
But it was certainly later on, the Thorne mark I thought was disputable.
A dead set play on decision for mine, and a very doubtful mark to Peter Thorne. In fact, Peter Thorne was surprised when he was paid the mark, and it's all resulted in a goal. So, you know, do umpires' decisions affect football matches? The answer is yes.
But they do even out, Keith, don't they, over the period of a game?
Yes, but they do have an effect.
Oh, sure, I agree with you. And the West Perth crowd here are very angry at the moment.
Waiting for something to yell about, I think, West Perth.
Thorne again figuring in that knockdown. Mithka's dispossessed by hand. Kicked upfield by the Tigers to the 50-metre line. Coming out to meet it here and showing good courage was Davies.
Oh, he had to give that.
Rewarded.
He had to give that.
It's not a good kick. Or it finds Wosley on the defensive 50-metre line.
You were looking a bit further then, Trev, weren't you?
Charlie, I thought he was aiming for. Riggs in the pack. At the back was Hall. Rapacholi followed the ball up the ground. He thumps it into the forward line, but Owens is in front. Good pair of hands. He's got glue on his fingers, this man.
Not a better mark in the league, I don't think.
On to Beresford. Run down by Williams. Got his kick in, though. It's across the half-back line. Mithka in hand. Hand bumped over by Hasler. And our cameraman's also in danger down there. Listen to the crowd.
Yeah, they're good at that in this grandstand.
It's Wosley and O'Connell. 2 ball players. Evans good roving. Good tackle. Got out of it though from Palm. Boots to half forward and finds Ania. Ania can go on. O'Brien arriving late. This is set up again for Higgins. Good mark. Sadowski has had a terrible day.
He's a big man. He's a very big man, Peter Higgins. No doubt about that. I thought he used his body absolutely superbly to hold ground. He's a lot taller than Sadowski. And no chance there. That was like Brennan trying to combat Salmon, and the odds are very much stacked in favour of the big man.
The result is a goal. He doesn't miss too many from a standing start like that. That big man, Peter Higgins, an eagle in the Claremont side, and a very telling goal indeed under pressure from West Perth. So Claremont 16-9. West Perth 8-3 at the 9-minute mark of this third quarter.
Swan District's lead South Fremantle by that goal. It's about case it's been all day. East Perth very inaccurate, but looks like they're doing enough at this stage to hold Perth. 20 shots to 13.
They should be swabbed too, shouldn't they, East Perth?
Well, the margin has slipped out to 54 points here at Leederville Oval. So once again, no chance, I would think, of West Perth winning the match. Let's hope they can just make it a little more competitive than it is at the moment. And there should be a free kick to Miles. It wasn't paid.
Oscar.
Briggs has it.
Wosley's hurt.
Yes, it looks as though he's hurt an ankle. He's lying in the centre of the ground. Lewis takes the mark for Claremont. It's a shin, I think. They can't afford to lose him with Zemplis out for still a couple more weeks. No, it's a knee.
Might be just a nerve. He might be okay.
Dr. Slater.
Boundary throw in at left centre wing for Claremont. Good knock too that time. Guard sends the Tigers forward up towards the half forward line. Chance here for Richard Higgins. Close to the boundary line. He played that very well. Clears it up towards centre wing. But it's all Claremont. Lewis. Now Beresford. Beresford towards centre half forward and Ania. Streaming past is Panizza. Ania was backpedaling, wasn't able to kick, but kicks to Higgins.
Well, Sadowski should be taken off, although it looks as though Wosley's gone.
Yes, they're carrying Wosley off the ground. That's a real blow to the Falcons now.
It is. It's incredible how one ruckman goes down and then almost immediately, just a couple of weeks later, the second ruckman is off. And that really is a very cruel blow to West Perth.
With both Wosley and Zemplis in their lineup, they had some sort of a chance, but now they have neither. There goes the kick at goal from Higgins. He's offline this time.
Long kick.
Yes, and through for a point.
Might have got a kick in the knee, Keith.
Yes,
Stephen Wasley.
it might not be all that bad. Sometimes you can get a kick in the knee and it can recover. But they hurt like the devil for a while.
Gary Holden comes on to replace him. The kick is out in front of Richard Higgins. From right half back, he kicks up towards centre wing. Not a good kick. Riggs taps it back, intended to his own advantage, but Lewis was first to recover. Dummies the hand pass, eludes Urquhart, gets it further afield now, and Claremont go forward again. Telling kick towards the top of the square, but Sadowski this time can mark, and he can relieve the pressure. Back he goes in the direction of Higgins, but over the top comes O'Malley. It was Hazel, I'm sorry, out there. And O'Malley is able to spoil the attempted mark.
Hazel has got some work to do again, hasn't he? Like about 1.5 quarters of rucky.
Hazel in front, brings it down to the front of the pack, but Evans scouting brilliantly. Has a good look. Central pass, looking for Cormac. Good use of the body. Got his man out of the way, Davies. And he's a much improved player. There's Wasley, only a young man. The troubles with the knee. We'll get a report from Glenn Mitchell as soon as possible on that injury to him. Going straight to the rooms by the look of it, as Cormac lines up for goal number 3 for the Tigers from 35 metres. He's kicked and kicked truly. 17 goals, 10 Claremont. West Perth are 8-3. 13 minutes gone. Let's go to Glenn Mitchell.
Yes, Stephen Wasley just been taken into the rooms, Trevor. It's just that he's fell awkwardly out there. The doctor feels that he could be okay. They're just going to pack the leg in ice.
Bit dark in there, Trev.
Very good mark that by Joe Cormac to kick the goal. Good use of the body. But that a cruel blow to West Perth. And it's the second time in a game that has happened where they've lost their number 1 ruckman.
9 goals, 7 is the margin at Leederville Oval. We're 15 minutes into the third quarter. The bounce of the ball favoured O'Connell. Thumps it down towards Mitchell. Thorne went without it, but was given a second chance. Run down by Curse. Oh, and the free kick has been paid for holding the man.
Really is amazing, some of those kicks.
Thorne kicks in towards the half-forward line. No one was sure who that was intended for. As a result, O'Brien can bring it away. Went without it. Pike has it back in the direction of O'Malley. He should kick a goal from there. Had time to put the lace up. Oh, heavens above. Intercepted by Sadowski. Back it goes towards the half-back line. West Perth can rebound. Urquhart from right half-back. Kicks towards right half-forward. Miles comes across, took the ball and almost took Del Borello. Kicks back towards the half-forward line. O'Malley caught between two West Perth players. No one able to take it away. Thorne picks it up cleanly. Not a good hand pass. Pike working close to the boundary line. Seemed to be going at about half pace, but it was quick enough to elude the opponent and pick out Ania. Now O'Connell has drifted down into open spaces. Again, they're messing around, but O'Connell gives his opponent Repiccioli the slip, goes back on goal, and has kicked another one. 18-10 to 8-3.
Well, there's no doubt about Claremont's style of play, and it's coming through very loud and clear, is that they always bring the ball back into the middle of the ground. Certainly in the forward line, the ball out on the flanks is always brought back into the centre of the ground, even if it means going backwards of the play. And they also indulge in that type of play from their half-back line and try to set up some sort of a move. And I agree with it in the forward line. I'm not so over-enthusiastic about it in the back line. And he's not sure.
Good goal to David O'Connell. Sadowski's in the ruck. He won that tap. Now he's picked it up and kicked it straight up in the air towards half-forward. Lewis bumped Urquhart out of the way. And the ball was about 15 metres away.
A bit crude.
Urquhart from the point of the square. Kicks into the pocket, looking for Cullen. He was underneath it. Miles is the first to arrive back, and he just pushes it out of bounds. A boundary throw in 35 metres around from the behind post.
Trevor Loudon. And Cullen had a real purple patch, didn't he, in the second quarter, but we haven't seen much of him before or after.
Hasn't been up there too often, Keith.
That's brought down to Davies. Davies fires on goal, but he's way offline. Free kick to Claremont. The ball went out on the full to be taken by number 39, Peter Owens. Vice-captain of Claremont. Played a good game again today. Kicks to half-back. Williams going back. Good mark, opposed by Evans. But unfortunately, the third quarter fight back hasn't resulted.
No, that really was a blow. That was a body blow to West Perth, losing their number 1 ruckman, who was starting to win a few knocks.
He's gone for a pass. Davies was underneath it. Cullen got it. Hand passes to Mipka, who snaps. It's offline, just outside the square. Up goes Hall, recovers best and snaps back on goal and puts it through. Well, he has got some ability. Number 23 for West Perth. That's Derek Hall. He brings up his first goal of the match. And West Perth, a badly needed one. They trail Claremont 18-10, 118. And West Perth now move along to, is it 9-3 or 10-3? 9-3.
First for the quarter, Keith.
Yep, and that's a good mark by Williams. That set it up, a very good mark. He's been a serviceable player today, Malcolm Williams. And Del Borello hasn't given him a lot of support. Williams taking the ball over to, in fact, it was Hall that took it over there. And that's now Hall, Derek Hall, roving his own knockdown and screwing it through.
Higgins down to Evans, and Claremont go forward again. O'Malley leading in the race for the ball. Not favoured by the bounce, but used his body well on Higgins. Higgins had greater support. Hazel clears up towards the half-back line. Hasler has it now. He was caught. Away go Claremont. Evans appeared to be tripped. Good kick into centre-half forward. Didn't quite carry, but they had plenty of time. And there, now it's O'Connell. And he's got it. No, I think he missed that one. No, he didn't. Sneaked through on the right side of the post. David O'Connell's third, and he's kicked at least two of them in this quarter.
And that brought about by a very good, strong tackle by Tony Evans on that out of flank. I think it was Evans. That Rosa, Trev?
Yep.
The cake lady.
Rosa Townsend.
Rosa Townsend, but a good tackle by Tony Evans, and that allowed Claremont to break it up into the centre of the ground again from out on the half-forward flank, and O'Connell from right in front has kicked his third.
Okay. Yes, Rosa Townsend, West Perth stalwart. She'll still have some hope that West Perth will get up. Cormac kicks to centre half forward. Higgins outmarked by O'Malley. Plays on Thorne from 50 metres for Ridley. Brilliant football.
Tell you what, I've seen enough of O'Malley today to know that he's got a bit of ability.
Sadowski's landed awkwardly now in the middle of the ground, and he's in trouble.
Stretch up.
I don't know how fit Greg O'Malley is.
Or is it O'Brien? It's O'Brien.
No, I think you're right the first time, Trev.
No, it's O'Brien.
Is it?
Ridley shooting for goal number 8. That won't come back, I don't think. Over the top of the post and one behind. Now let's have a look into the middle of the ground. And the stretcher is out for, I think, yes, it is number 7, Darren O'Brien.
He's the man that made a difference to West Perth when he went to centre halfway through the second quarter, changing with Graham Kearse.
Didn't see what happened there, did you, Keith?
No, I think he just went over on it, Trev. I wasn't watching. I was watching O'Malley take a very strong mark. And I've been watching O'Malley. I don't know how fit he is, actually, but he certainly has some ability, and he's been a very effective player since going to centre-half forward, replacing Peter Mann, who went off in the second quarter.
Margin is 68 points now in favour of Claremont. O'Brien trying to work this out of his ankle.
Oh, it's pointless staying out there if it's that bad.
Might have just gone awkwardly over on it. Seems to be recovering okay, but I think he's coming off.
Madaffrey to come on.
And this is Sadowski in the goal square, who'll put the ball back into play. There's O'Brien. Sadowski now goes to the outer side. He's looking for Kearse. With him is Mitchell. He's closed Mitchell down, Kearse. He's done a very good job on him. And the pressure applied then by Mitchell has forced the kick to go out of bounds. O'Brien, the pain of league football. Mitchell, a centering kick. Sadowski will fly. O'Connell from behind. Rapaccioli, it bounced off his chest, landed with Cormac. Cormac, a hand pass for Ridley, who knocks it to O'Malley. He goes defensively back to Higgins. He gets around Nathan Higgins, fires on goal and puts it through. Claremont really can do no wrong as Higgins brings up his second. Claremont, their 20th. They're 20 goals, 11. West Perth are 9-3 at the 21-minute mark of this third quarter.
Well, I think their ruckmen have kicked their last 4 goals, 2 each. And that a nice piece of teamwork, obviously good talking, and there's the agility of big Peter Higgins weaving and turning, straightening up. But the value of Claremont bringing the ball back in the centre of the ground, Trev, means that every time they shoot at goal, they've got a straight pot. They don't blaze away from the pockets, and that's a very good tactic. And everybody's playing according to that plan, and gee, it makes it easy, doesn't it?
7 goals to Todd Ridley. You saw the score margin. 3 to David O'Connell. 2 apiece to Tony Evans and Peter Higgins.
Thorne well tackled by Kearse. Held to him in the opinion of the umpire.
Oh, that's a poor decision for mine again. I just believed that it was a good tackle and should have been rewarded.
Bounced down 10 metres ahead of the centre square with the centre circle, with Claremont in attack. Higgins standing his ground, got a good tap down to Cormac. It comes to Higgins. This is Nathan Higgins. Hand passes to Hazel, who's in all sorts of strife. Mitchell was too. Ania gets it wide. Higgins high towards full forward.
Kick.
O'Connell over the top, taken off hands by Repiccioli. Clears it towards the members' side of the ground. That's a good kick. Oh, they got to Hasler in the nick of time. It looked as though it was going to be centimetre perfect and land with Paul Hasler, but hand came in over the top and got the ball away. Right half forward for Claremont. Hazel knocking it to the side of the pack, but it was the attacking side of the pack as far as Claremont were concerned, and they've bulldozed this into the pocket. West Perth in trouble now. Evans was in on top of it. Williams was pushed clearly in the back.
He's got a nasty habit, Malcolm Williams, of diving forward when he gets tackled. I think the umpires will wake up to him. It was a bit high. Yeah, that was high initially, but he is so light-framed and throws himself forward that you never know whether he's been pushed or
Goal
not.
to guard.
Wasn't a bad knock by David O'Connell.
It was a very clever knock. Put it towards the goal line, and 2 or 3 of them could have picked that up. Once again, no pressure as Guard brings up his second. 21-11 to 9-3. There's that ruck knock again, Keith.
Yeah, sensational. And
Any one of 3 could have taken it.
What are the stats on the ruckman, Ken? Because they played a major part in this game, both Higgins and O'Connell.
Yes, well, Higgins and O'Connell have each made 10 effective ruck knockouts. Wosley, off the field injured, made 6, and Hazel 4, and Mann 1. So Claremont have held sway.
What about their stats around the ground? They've been effective players around the ground.
Yes, well, Higgins has taken 5 marks and had 8 kicks. O'Connell 4 marks and 7. Wosley had 4 kicks, and Hazel's had 6.
Higgins won that, but West Perth will win it through Williams. The Madaffrey tackled by Pinezza and brought down. Ball spills to Lewis. He gets around Davies. Had a good game in defence too, Ken.
Yes, Cam Lewis with his 10th kick. Also 8 effective hand passes.
He went looking for Thorne. There's another player down behind play here. Richard Higgins as Claremont move it to half forward. Thorne in trouble, holding the ball. No doubt about that. Yeah. Peter Thorne, a bit reluctant to give it up. Tireless worker for Claremont. Destroy sides, Peter Thorne. Mifka's kick to the wing. Ooh. Paul felt that from Higgins. Away he goes, laid on ahead of the mark, according to umpire O'Reilly, and he'll be brought back.
Big fellow, isn't he?
Well, he certainly made him earn it, whatever he earned.
It's the best game I've seen him play, Peter Higgins.
Ball right in front of the West Perth members. Wobbly kick to half forward. Up was Madaffrey before acceptances. In comes Davies. Pushed it through the traffic. Hand pass to Riggs. Riggs thought about Nathan Higgins. Goes the other way. Hooks the ball towards half forward. But there he is again. Mr. Reliable. Tiptoes through the tulips. Hand passes away to Pike. Pike doubles back. Gets around Madaffrey. Looks for Guard. He gets around Holden and then kicks to half forward, finds Ania as Claremont bulldoze it forward again. There's the kick towards the pocket. O'Connell up, palm in front, got a hand to it. Out of bounds alongside the behind post. I like the way Lewis just tiptoed through those fallen players.
Gee, he's been a very effective player today, hasn't he, Cam Lewis?
Let's go down to Glenn Mitchell and see how O'Brien is.
Glenn not there.
I'm not having a lot of luck, am I, Trev?
No, you better leave the passing to me.
Glenn's got it in for me.
That was another perfect knock by David O'Connell, bringing the ball back into the centre of the ground from boundary throw in. And, of course, the free kick eventuating. And with O'Connell bringing the ball back into the middle of the ground, it means that Ania will shoot from almost right out in front. Just a small angle.
Ania, the shoot on goal here from 35 to 40 metres out. Kicks truly. No doubt about the goal. His first of the match, 22nd to Claremont, as they just cruise away here. 143 plays 57, 25 minutes gone. Glenn Mitchell.
Yes, Darren O'Brien in the rooms at the moment having ice applied to his right ankle. He's got a severe kick on it, obviously won't be coming back in this match.
8 goals to Claremont in this quarter, and it's been an absolute massacre. I suppose West Perth have given about quarter of an hour of the in this game, and that's about all. Quarter of an hour, the second half of the second quarter, they were competitive, but really Claremont's class has been just too much for them.
Well, they've kicked some big scores this year, Claremont, but this could be one of the biggest. 30 goals against West Perth in the first round, 29 goals last week against East Perth, 23 in another. And here we are at time on in the third quarter, and they're 22-11 to West Perth 9-3. as Claremont take the ball towards centre wing. Guard takes the mark, and a solid push from John Riggs. He plays on up towards the half-forward line where Beresford is running free. Coming across to meet him is Holden. Beresford tapping it away from that player, but over the line. And the throw will take place just outside Claremont's 50-metre line.
They play an AFL brand of football, don't they, Claremont?
South Fremantle have hit the front, Trev, up at Bassendean.
And Perth leading East Perth.
A couple of interesting games there, and it was obviously an interesting game at the WAFL last night.
Paddy Madaffrey's going to get his second kick, Wally.
Puts it back in towards the half-back line where Hasler takes the mark. Hasler looking for someone to kick it to, not too many options. Hand trying to use his body on Mifka. Now Mifka's outnumbered 2-1. He's got a little bit of support now from Urquhart. What happened then? Well, there were two West Perth players stood and watched the Claremont player pick it up.
Waiting for the whistle.
Second. He has.
They were waiting for the whistle and it didn't happen.
He tried to kick the ball and in fact kicked the ground, and which meant that left the ball there. The Claremont player just picked it up, and another one on the board. That's number 9. There's Mifka fighting with Han. Coming in to land the Han is Lewis.
Yeah, pushed in the back.
And there's the kick at the ground also, and picked up by Richie Hand, who initially lost possession to Paul Mifka. And Cormac goes through to Ania, and he kicked his second goal for the game, his second in a row, and the 9th for Claremont in this quarter, in just literally a training run for them.
1:49, plays 57, close to three-quarter time. Bounce favours Hazel. O'Connell made a contest. Good work by Guard. In comes Davies. Hasler over the top of it too. And O'Reilly will bounce down just outside that well-worn circle.
I hope George is enjoying the game at Bassendean Oval. Looks a good game, Trev.
Well, I'm certainly enjoying this game here, Trevor, this afternoon.
Thanks, Ken.
Hazel won the tap. Knocked out by Thorne for Pike. Hall is there. Now Cormac goes back through the congestion. Gives it to David O'Connell, left unguarded. He kicks the ball out wide. He's looking for O'Malley. He's bumped over by Palm. Palm's dispossessed by Han. He gives it away to Panizza. Panizza runs to 50 and sets it up just outside the square. Sadowski up in front of Higgins and pulls down the mark.
Yes, I don't know why Higgins didn't go in and contest the mark then.
Sadowski runs it out of defence through Del Borello, who kicks to the outer side of the ground for Urquhart. Spoiled by Lewis, who's killed him. He knocks it to the 50-metre line. Del Borello went without it. Guard, good tackle put on him by Sadowski. Lewis has got it though to Higgins. Another one coming up here for the Tigers. Higgins' kick is way offline and out of bounds on the full.
Well, I don't think Gerard Neesham will have much trouble picking his team next week because everybody is getting into the act. Even the back line are getting down to the forward line looking to kick goals. In fact, I look at the Claremont defence and there's only 2 players the other side of centre.
His problem is exactly that, I think, Keith. He's got so many players to try and fit into this team.
Smiling like a Cheshire cat. Mifka one-handed. Crumbs come down to Curse. He kicks it to an open half-forward line.
It's an open forward line, all right.
Owens coming out to meet it. Williams runs into him, bounces off him, and finally picked up here by Richard Higgins. He kicks into the pocket looking for Madaffrey. It bounces away from him and Beresford. Ends up with Williams, who hooks towards Cullen. He comes to meet it with good strength. Hand pass, though, is wide of Hall. This allows Guard to soccer it away. Coming to meet the ball now is Han. He goes to the boundary line, gets a hospital hand pass for David O'Connell, who's caught. Play on, says O'Reilly, and that's a boundary throw in with Han and Del Borello taking it over the line. 149 plays 57.
That's 92 points in favour of the Tigers. We're 31 minutes into this third quarter as Beresford gets it across to Pike. Pike kicks towards Mitchell, and he's taken a mark in opposition to Curse, who has done a fairly good job on him, as Trevor has mentioned.
Yes, he's given him a fair contest, hasn't he? In fact, he's closed him out of the game.
He chips the ball down in the direction of Evans. He was beaten for possession by Palm. This is Hasler. And he kicks towards the half-forward line as the siren sounds to mark three-quarter time at Leederville Oval, with Claremont leading West Perth 23-11 to 9-3. The margin, as we said, 92 points.
They have kicked 9 goals again in that quarter, Claremont to West Perth's 1. It really has been a masterful exhibition by, at this stage, the premiership favourites, Claremont, as they continue to absolutely not only beat sides, but demoralise them as they did with East Perth last week, and now with West Perth today. 23-11, 149, West Perth 9-3, 57. Ridley has 7. and O'Connell 3. As we look at the other grounds, Swans and South in a tremendous contest up there, and South don't usually go so well at Bassendean.
No, and they hit the front halfway through that quarter. It looks like Swans have kicked back again.
Plenty in that game, and there's also plenty left of the game at Lathlane Park between Perth and East Perth. Back to these goal scorers. Ridley's kicked 7, 3 to David O'Connell and Joe Cormack, and 2 apiece to Jerry McGard, Tony Evans and John Anea, and also Peter Higgins. For West Perth, Matt Cullen has booted 4 and Malcolm Williams has kicked 2. It'll be a very dispirited West Perth huddle as Ken Casellas gives us the latest stats on this game.
Thanks, Trevor. Well, the leading kick getter on the field at three-quarter time is still the West Perth wingman, John Riggs. He's had 17 kicks. He had 4 kicks in the third quarter. Looking at some of the other leading possession getters for West Perth, Paul Mifka on his wing, 7 marks, 14 kicks and 1 hand pass. Then we have not too many other prominent players. O'Brien 8 before he went off injured with an ankle injury in that quarter. Looking through the other West Perth players, it's very hard to find anyone with a lot of kicks, but the Claremont story is a lot better than that. David O'Connell, 4 marks, 8 kicks. Higgins, 5 marks and 9 kicks. They're smaller players. Thorns had 16 kicks and 7 effective hand passes. Guards had 13 kicks and 5 hand passes. Cormack, 13 kicks and 7 effective hand passes. Tony Evans, 14 kicks and 4 hand passes. In defence, we have Miles with 15 kicks and 3 hand passes. Cam Lewis, 6 marks, 10 kicks and 10 effective hand passes. Peniza's had 13 kicks, and John Anea had a birthday in the third quarter. He roamed loose and had 7 kicks in the third quarter, and he's had 6 marks, 10 kicks and 6 effective hand passes. And it's been all Claremont. The free kicks at three-quarter time, West Perth 17, Claremont 15.
Thanks a lot, Ken Casellas. Let's see a replay now of the only goal kicked in the quarter by West Perth's Derek Hall. Williams, might like to talk this through, Keith.
Yes, and there's the ball over to Mifka, and he drives into the square. You'll see that Hall contests the mark. Very good recovery by Derek Hall, and no pressure from the Claremont defence. It hasn't happened much today, but giving him time, Derek Hall, to screw onto the right foot and pop it through. But really, we'd have to say, Trevor, a disgraceful quarter of football by West Perth, and they really fell in a big heap after Wasley was taken from the field. And from then on, it was just a no contest. Not very much you could say about the game, other than was little more than a training one for Claremont. I suppose they exposed another one of their very promising young juniors down there in Greg O'Malley, who came into the centre-half forward position, replacing Peter Mann when he went off in the second quarter. And Claremont just didn't lose anything in that position. He became a very strong player. He's a left footer, Greg O'Malley. He kicks the ball a long way, passes the ball beautifully, and the Claremont machine just went on. It'd be very difficult to pick the outstanding 6 players in the Claremont side, I would think, when I've got to do it later on today, Trev, because the whole side has got into the game. It's just been one of those games.
And one of the goals in the quarter from Claremont, they booted 9 for the quarter, was kicked by Jerry McGard. Well, is it John Anea, is it? Come on.
This is the ruck knock from O'Connell. It was brilliantly done, and Guard or Ridley or Cormack, for that matter, could have run onto that. It was not so much the goal as it was the ruck knock thrown in that right full forward pocket. There you see Jeremy Guard, who was responsible for kicking the goal, number 6.
Well, really, if David O'Connell and Higgins can't control the ruck today, they never will they? You got Wasley off the ground, and
he wasn't off at that stage, though.
No, but at that stage of that goal, he was. And David O'Connell, since then, of course, has completely taken charge, as has Peter Higgins, getting a rub down. And he's played a pretty good game, Ken, Peter Higgins.
Yes, and he's still a comparatively young player, and he's still got a good future, I think, in football, even with the Eagles. I'd say he's about 23 years of age. He started off his football career playing with the Carlton under-19s, and he's been with Claremont for about the last 3 or 4 seasons.
The thing to remember too, Ken, he had that shocking shin soreness, which really almost curtailed his career last year.
Yes, almost for the entire year. And he's got a good high leap, and as Keith Latis pointed out this afternoon, he's got one of the longest kicks in football in Western Australia, and he's got plenty of aggression about him, which I like too.
John Anea back in the side today. But Claremont, let's have a look at one of his goals in this third quarter. There's West Perth captain Hasler putting it across the ground. Mifka wrestling with hand. This was a fairly controversial passage of play. Bifka earned the front spot, was pushed away there by Hand, who went back to collect it. Goes with the hand pass to Cormac, who thought about going inboard. He finally goes wide to John Anea, who pops one over the head of Sadowski and Higgins for another gold of the Claremont Tigers. Let's go down to Glenn Mitchell, find out what Neesham and McKeljic had to say.
Yes, thanks, Trevor. It'll be an interesting last quarter regardless. Jared Neesham wants his players to finish off. He wants them to remember that last week against East Perth in a similar situation, and they really slowed down in that final quarter. George McKeljic, on the other hand, wants the West Perth players to remember what happened last time they met Claremont, going down by over 150 points. In the last quarter, they're kicking with what little breeze there is here now. He's asked them to really use it. Interesting, a West Perth wag here in the crowd wants Neesham to pull one player off at a time every 5 minutes and see if we can make a game of it. Back to you, Trev.
Not a bad idea. And let's hope those wags continue to smile down there. Keith, you've got the record books out. That doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. The Claremont's highest score against West Perth, 35 goals, 15. And that was in 1981. So they'd need to kick another 12, 13 goals in this quarter. Their highest score ever in a football game, according to this record, is against Perth. And they kicked 39 goals, 20, and that was also in 1981. And
their biggest winning margin over West Perth is 159 points, which was the margin in the first round of the season, Keith.
Yep, and that broke the old record, which was 144 points, also in 1981. So 81 was a big year for Claremont.
Young Brooks is smiling again, so he must have got over that injury he sustained. Football live on ABC television. Claremont turned for home with an unassailable 92-point lead.
O'Connell opposed by Hazel. O'Connell gets the better of the knock, down to Evans. Hurried kick will land with Curse. Curse playing off the half-back line for the Falcons since midway through this game. Kicks towards centre-half forward. Lewis chips in front. Misses what he should have taken. Hand passes to a player in trouble. That was Panizza. As a result, Riggs goes towards full forward and Cullen takes the mark. Now,
he has shown some promise, hasn't he?
He likes this end of the ground, I'll give him that. It's the only end at which he's kicked a goal this afternoon, and he's kicked goals from further out than this. He has 4.
He's had only 4 kicks down this end of the field, Wally, and they've all resulted in goals.
Well, let's see if he can keep his perfect record intact. John Scott's giving him a lot of room. He kicks from on the 50-metre line. This won't be a goal, but this one might be.
I thought he slipped
taken by Higgins.
I thought he slipped as he kicked then, Wal. His back foot, the ground seemed to give.
Higgins has played on and has kicked the goal. So a good start to the final quarter by the Falcons.
Well, Nathan Higgins, we just haven't seen enough of him today.
That's Richard, that one.
Oh, Richard was it? Yeah, Richard. Well, Nathan Higgins, I was going to talk about against East Fremantle, was the best man on the ground. I thought he played quite superbly. Seen so little of him today. And as he kicked the ball in, McCullen, his back foot seemed to give under him. But Richard Higgins, who normally plays in defence now on the forward line, been able to take a strong mark and to kick a good goal.
And a well-earned drink for Richard Higgins after that move from centre-half back. Off O'Malley. O'Connell wins another tap over Hazel. Evans shrugs the tackle from Williams. It was high. He'll take the free kick in the middle of the ground. Some might argue that he ducked into it. Kicks it into Williams. Coming to meet the ball was Panizza. He pushes it forward. Hazel picks it up. He's caught. Throws it away. He was caught by the hand and couldn't do much about that. I thought, here you have it.
That kick hurt Malcolm Williams too. It got him right in the shoulder. He's in a spot of bother.
So Mitchell kicks to half forward. Sadowski outnumbered. Punches away from Peter Higgins. Reading the ball well as Repacholi. Pushes it on. Bumps O'Malley out of the way. At the same time, Riggs is controlling it. And then he pushes it back. Taken away here by Holden. Holden with a good pass. Finds Hall. Hall kicks into the pocket for Cullen. And Lewis got a hand in there just in time, and we'll see it out of bounds in the right full forward pocket. Bit of heavy body work in there as the ball goes over the line. There's the other scores. Not much change there from three-quarter time. Should be a clinker of a finish at Bassendean. Just got time to get up there, Wal. That could be a free kick. David O'Connell going straight into the back of the West Perth ruckman. He'll stand the mark for Cullen, who contested that ruck boundary throw-in. Number 33 for West Perth. Cullen from 30 metres out chips and pushes it right across the face and through for a behind. West Perth at 10-4, 64. Claremont 23-11, 149. 4 minutes gone in this last quarter.
Well, he looks a promising type, Cullen. That's young Wasley on the boundary line, and hasn't looked that unhappy about things.
Evans puts the ball out in front of Lewis. And Cam Lewis takes the mark on the half-back line. Hooks up towards centre wing, not a good kick, and Hazel has been awarded the mark. Hazel at right centre wing for the Falcons. They've kicked 1 goal in this quarter. That's as many as they kicked in the third. And Cullen has taken the mark this time, but he's inside the centre square, and even he won't kick this one.
One could imagine him playing in a good side, being a very effective player, Wal.
Yeah.
He has quite good marking skills and kicks the ball a long way.
Didn't get onto that, tried too hard. Well, that's a good mark taken by Panizza, an awkward one to trap. Kicks out wide, and guard was met very solidly.
Getting there a little late, but impossible to pull up on that occasion.
Guard with the free kick. Kicks towards the outer wing. O'Malley got most of the pack out of the way, gave Thorne a chance, but he's beaten in the race back for it by Mifka. And the throw-in will take place almost down on Claremont's right half-forward flank. She's lost her way.
I thought that was a West Perth forward for a while.
She's at the wrong ground.
Who, me, she said.
There's Hall's clearing kick. He's playing at centre half-back now, but Panizza takes the mark. Hand passes off to Beresford. He'll go back to Panizza. Was outmanoeuvred by Madaffrey. Claremont still have time to recover. O'Connell has it now, right centre wing. Puts the ball up towards the 50-metre line, and O'Malley. Holden did well.
Which one?
Del Borello, Mifka, towards the centre of the ground, and Davies. Oh, he wanted to play on, didn't realise that Panizza had hold of him, almost. It's with Hasler now. He's run down by Evans. This is pretty scrappy stuff at the moment. Mitchell, he's outnumbered 4-1, and West Perth still can't take it away. Now there are chances. Riggs kicks back towards centre half forward. They're outnumbering Claremont 2-1 in this situation. Still it's tied up there. O'Connell almost threw it away. Beresford clears with a kick towards the half-forward flank. Bourne not able to keep it in play. Del Borello gets the hand pass to Mifka. Mifka from left centre wing spears it down towards the half-forward line of Madaffrey. He's able to elude Beresford. Chips it towards Cullen. And Cullen will have yet another shot at goal. He's had about 2 or 3 deliberate shots in the first 5 minutes of this quarter.
I think he was recruited from East Perth or Subiaco, Keith.
Subiaco, I think.
Subiaco, that's right.
Opportunity's a great thing, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't have thought they were over-endowed with talented goal kickers. This time he's kicked from about 55 metres. It's close.
Goal. No.
Just missed. Had the distance, but just missed in regards accuracy.
Well, 6 minutes have gone and Claremont haven't kicked a goal in this quarter.
I haven't scored.
No. So, is this a West Perth fight back?
Don't say it too loud, Trev, they might hear you.
Han is doing a marvellous job running this out of defence. Went a little bit too far, but he always had the backup of Pike. He goes inboard, finds Lewis. He's been brilliant today, Cam Lewis. He drives a wobbly-looking kick to full forward. Ridley up, punched away by Rapaccioli. Hasler gives it away to Palm. Palm goes defensively back to Curse. And Curse pushes it out wide for Davies. Marking in front of O'Malley, number 20. Davies, inboard. That's a strong mark taken by Holden. Holden goes right across the ground. There's a nest of Falcons out there. And the captain takes it, gives it away to Hazel, confronted by Han. He's got nowhere to go. Finally just sets it up towards centre half forward. David O'Connell, Cullen! That's a very good mark. One of the best marks he's taken over David O'Connell. He's a player a lot taller.
Yeah, that's one of the marks of the day, no doubt about that. And he's had a brilliant start to the last quarter. I don't know what his stats are in the last quarter. It must be 4 or 5 kicks.
4 marks and 5 kicks as he shoots on goal.
And kicks it into the square. West Perth in front. Mark almost taken by Higgins. Hall is there. Hand passes it back over his head. And Miles clears it away. Long hand pass to Pike. Dummies. And then goes over the top of Davies. Good run out of defence here by Evans, who muffed it. Tackled by Riggs. He scored. Back to Pike. He scored. too high, says the umpire. Donny Pike with the free kick.
Well, it's a pretty scrappy final quarter so far. Just one goal kicked in total. That was kicked by West Perth as the ball is on Claremont's half-forward line. Mitchell appeared to be retarded. Ania, it's not Ania, it's Cormac. Out it comes towards Miles, taken by Palm. Palm goes across the top. Chance now for West Perth to break it up if they can get control of it. Repacholi lost his footing, and that's a stalemate. So there will be a bounce down on Claremont's left half-forward flank.
Very much alike, Repacholi and Hazel to look at, Bob.
Sure are.
I don't mean my mother, Hazel.
And this is Repacholi who gets it over the line.
There's Omar.
It's been a magnificent day for football, hasn't it? We had some wind early.
Has it?
And that's died away.
Where you been?
84 points is
I'm
the
trying
margin.
to talk about the weather.
In favour of Claremont. As Del Borello brings it away off the half-back line.
When all else fails, you talk about the weather, right, Keith?
He kicks towards centre half forward. Williams takes the mark for West Perth. Avoids the bump that he thought was coming.
I thought that should have been 50.
Kicks in towards the full forward area. Cullen spoilt by Scott this time, who was able to win front position. Riggs goes to it. Finessing, three of them there. Pike's not trying to get rid of the ball, but we'll have a bounce.
Well, he's very lucky not to be penalised because he really did have an opportunity, didn't he, to push the ball away.
Higgins doing the ruck work for Claremont here against Riggs, and easily beat him, but the fist goes over the line in front of Jeremy Gard, number 6. It's a massive margin in favour of Claremont. And one gets the feeling we're watching the same dismantling of a side as we saw last week when East Perth were taken apart. Davies in front of the pack. Good shepherding by Hasler. Williams fumbles. He's got plenty of time. In fact, Thorne should have put a little bit more pressure on than that. Owens flew. No mark. Del Borello through the traffic was well done.
Oh, dear,
His kick's way offline. He could have given it to Higgins.
I don't think there was a lot of talking there, Trev. And
look at that game at Bassendean, Keith.
Yeah, that's a good game, isn't it? That would have been a terrible game to telecast.
4 points the margin, eh?
Miles back into play for Pike. He's marked ahead of Mifka. That's been a good duel, Ken. You mentioned it earlier.
Yes, Pike, this is his 15th kick. He's also had 11 effective hand passes. Mifka 16 kicks and 1 hand pass.
Hand to Scott. We see this far too often. Scott bounds to centre half forward, kicks towards full forward O'Malley, and in front Palm, not paid. Evans snapped, smothered again by Palm. Another chance for Evans. Hand passes to O'Connell, number 4. David O'Connell has booted 4 goals, but that was very well done down there by, I think it was Evans and O'Malley combining, and then David O'Connell finishing it off. But David Palm, firstly, did a marvellous job, survived the bump, then smothered, and that was very well done. But weight of numbers won out. David O'Connell toe pokes it through, Keith.
Yep, and it all started with John Scott coming from fullback and making, I suppose, an 80-metre run down the centre of the ground and doing the right thing, kicking it long into the square, and it all resulted in a goal. Also easy for Claremont, no one putting pressure on Scott, and that's the disappointing part of that goal.
The scoreboard attendant refuses to put that goal up for Claremont.
I don't blame him either.
He's gone home, I'd reckon.
Either that or he's tired. Guard gets a hand pass to Ania. Ania gets it further afield to Hand. Hand was pulled off the kick by Mifka, but it's socked forward by Ania. Chance for Thorne. Back it comes to Ania, who's running a lot harder now. He's only 40 metres out. He's kicked one. That's his 3rd. And the 25th for Claremont. They're 25-11. West Perth at 10-6.
And it almost looks like it's Claremont who have said, well, enough of this rot.
Yeah.
We haven't kicked a goal in the first 10 minutes.
Let's
it's time to get on with the business.
Yeah.
And so they just gone up a cog, gone into another gear, and now they're going to start piling them on by the look of it. Ania running into an open goal, O'Connell before him, and they're the first 2 goals of the quarter, and the quarter's been in progress 12 minutes.
And I think, unfortunately, Keith, that top 4 starting to take some sort of shape now, and one would think it fairly impossible for sides like West Perth, Subiaco, Perth and East Perth to make it.
Yep, that's the way it's starting to look.
Guard fires it up to Ridley, and he takes a good mark. opposed by Repacholi.
He's got very good judgment, hasn't he, Todd Ridley?
He's a very good player.
His judgment is absolutely impeccable.
Do you think better things ahead for him in State League?
Oh, yes. He's a class player. I don't think it'll be as a full forward. He has the ability to play at full forward, but as I said earlier on, I think maybe he's a bit better than that as he shoots from about 35 metres.
For number 8?
And no.
And that's our little smiling goal umpire down there, Wal, at that end of the ground. There he is. He's one of the most jovial characters on a football field. And there's always a smile on his face.
Probably barracks for Claremont.
Frank Senatich.
I think he always backs winners at Belmont. Holden's taken the mark from the kick back into play from Sadowski. He puts it out in front of Hazel, who juggles the mark. Kicks up to half forward. And almost the mark taken by Hall. Was he pushed?
Well, I thought he was.
Not according to the umpire.
No, I thought there was enough from behind. I know they're very tolerant with nudges forward nowadays in football, but I thought there was a fair bit from behind then from Jeff Miles.
Might have even been tripped. Hazel knocks it on, but straight to Miles, who hand passes over the top for a near. That wasn't a good hand pass. Good tackle by Del Barello. Panizza caught, didn't want to know. Madaffrey for Williams. Williams has a look, kicks towards full forward, but Scott out in front of Cullen has taken the relieving mark.
I tell you what, he's played a pretty good game, Scotty, too.
This is Panizza, whose hand pass went to Anea. Anea kicks to centre wing and Thorne across the top to Han. Han cuts infield to O'Connell. This is good use of the football by Claremont. It's been clean and decisive as Cormac kicks towards the square, and Evans almost took a freak mark. That can't be paid. Palm goes back through 2 players, including one of his own. Repacholi has it now, goes over the top to Hasler. Both teams handling the ball very cleanly at the moment. It's Riggs now. Riggs looks towards the half-forward line. That's not a good kick.
Terrible.
Well, he really set Hall up then, Riggs, with that kick. He had time to make better use of the ball. Socket away from O'Connell by Higgins. Not far as Panizza knocks it back into the centre circle, and that's where this bounce will take place. But what a mark!
Derek Hall has every reason to give that player Riggs the biggest blast of all time, because he couldn't have set it up better for Miles, who just loves to come from behind and get the legs into the back and get up there and grab one. That's made his day, I reckon.
Well, that was...
Played a good game.
We've seen 3 very good marks, one by Ridley, one by Miles, and one by Cullen. That was one of the best, one of the 3 best that we've seen today. There's Pike. His hand pass has been stolen by Hazel. He hooks it high towards centre half forward. Panizza takes a good mark.
Showed some courage. He had to sit under that for quite a while. He's played it out wide for Anea. Anea's clear of Nathan Higgins. Now he'll get inside him. Goes with a hand pass to Cormac, who's left unattended. He didn't shrug that tackle. He hand passes to centre half forward. Hand back through the traffic to Pike. He's inside 50. Hooks towards the square. Sadowski got a hand to it. Guard read it nicely. Chips on goal, and he's missed.
Well, there's certainly no run in the West Perth legs anymore. They've got possession, they're going. If they're not, well, let's get the goal kicked and get back to the centre. Cigarettes are coming out there in the West Perth stand.
There's the other game of Bassendean, which is most interesting. Swans just leading south.
There's hardly been a goal, more than a goal in that game the whole game way through.
Would be better off at Lashlane than here.
Perth beating East Perth at this stage into the last quarter. We're 17 minutes in here at Leederville Oval. Sadowski back into play. Mifka was the flyer from behind. Thorne was in front. O'Malley was doing battle there, but it comes down to work it. And he finds Nathan Higgins, left centre wing for West Perth. He's got a paddock to run in here. He runs to half forward and then chips into the pocket. Target is Cullen. Should have taken that mark. Now he's outnumbered, and Claremont will run this out of defence to Beresford. And Beresford chips around the boundary, finds his captain at half back. He brings it inboard. Look at this. Cormac meters in the clear. Confronted now by Williams. He got a hand to that, but it'll land with Anea. He goes over the top towards Higgins. Higgins runs through the square and now kicks towards full forward. It's Palm and Evans. Evans misses the mark. Back comes Palm and Evans. Now what's the umpire's decision? Play on. Now he's given a kick away to be taken by David Palm. What for, I don't know.
He's indicated holding the ball, but there were 2 players in a wrestling match for it. Palm has the free kick. I admire Evans' persistence when he is fighting for the ball. He never gets himself out of the game. Kirst did that quite cleverly. Kicks back towards the half-back line where Madaffrey is unattended. He now kicks towards the centre of the ground and Hall. Ball midway between the centre and right centre wing. Towards centre half forward, Cullen is the target. Didn't quite carry to him. Ania has it. Now Lewis. Now Pike. On it goes by hand to Beresford. Beresford not sure what to do with it, and he'll get into strife if he's not careful.
Down here back up well.
Panizza, who's had a lot of touches this afternoon, kicks to centre half forward, and Scott pulls in the mark. Now he would be the best part of 150 metres from his full back position, and Mitchell cruises into goal and puts number 26 on the board for the Tigers. 26-13, West Perth at 10-6. Touched, was it? I'm sorry.
Ball.
Sorry, thank you.
I was going to say that is the easiest goal I've ever seen kicked in league football.
Got a rubber?
And yeah, we all need one, I think.
There's the kick back into play. Hasler up, Higgins over the top. Mitchell another chance. Over the top he goes. Evans from the pocket. He chips to the square. Very intelligent and unselfish. And O'Malley has marked. And he'll kick a goal from there. Why wouldn't he?
I'm not saying anything. How did Mitchell miss? I'm still looking for the hand.
25-14 Claremont. 164 plays 66. So they'll go over the 100 lead here. O'Malley, ooh, he just sneaked it in. It's a goal, and there's the smiling goal umpire. Look at him, as he's laughing with Palm. Little joke there. Did you hear the joke, Keith?
Yeah, went right over your head, he said.
O'Malley's in strife, he's got cramp.
Too many kicks.
I think David's watched a few go over his head today. 4 points to difference at Bassendean Oval as there's that down on the ground there. Greg O'Malley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just outside the square.
Yeah, he hurt himself.
104 points the margin. And the Claremont officials, although they didn't look too happy there, would be absolutely tickled pink with another superb Claremont performance today.
Well, that was Scott Edwards, and wondering, I suppose, how he's ever going to get back into this Claremont League side.
Well, he must feel most disappointed. In fact, when you think of a grand final side, you would have to think seriously of Scott Edwards.
Higgins and Hazel. Hazel beats him, knocks it on again, but it's all Claremont. Han, he didn't pick it up cleanly, allows Mifka in, he overruns it, socket away from Madaffri by Panizza. Mitchell and Del Barello was a half-hearted clash, and Mifka held when not in possession will take the free kick for West Perth.
Mifka is just ahead of the centre line, midway between centre and half forward, with his side trailing by nearly, or just over 100 points, 104 points. That's come off the side of the boot. Chance for Davies in the pocket. Now a chance for Cullen, or is it Madaffri? Madaffri it is. He's missed.
Madaffri's going to be battling to stay in this West Perth side, Trevor, I'd say, because his form this afternoon has been very, very poor, hasn't it?
Well, what about...
When he goes bad, he really goes bad, doesn't he, Madaffri?
He's their leading goal kicker, but if poor form is the criteria for being dropped here, Ken, they'll have trouble fielding a team next week. This is Cormac, now Owens. Where is it? Back it comes to Cormac. They're just helping each other's statistics. Up towards the half-back line, and Ania pushed. John Ania with the free kick.
There's Nathan Higgins. He's still on the field. He's had a black day.
Yes, Nathan Higgins has had 3 kicks.
Cormac. Lewis. Gee, this really is pretty ordinary stuff now. Cormac again from left half-back towards the half-forward line. And an uncontested mark to guard. He's had a pretty good day too, Ken.
Yes, guard's 17th kick. 6 marks, 17 kicks and 6 effective hand passes. And another effective kick as John Ania takes yet another mark, his 8th.
Ania, his fitness coming to the fore now. Not a good kick. Palm.
Reliable.
Away go West Perth. Yes, he is. Oops, Urquhart took his eyes off it. Across the top it goes to Curse, who had to work for it. Oh. David Palm looked behind him in the hope that it was intended for someone else, then realised it wasn't, so off he goes again. Miles is the player tackling him, and now they're right back almost in the last line of defence, but Higgins is loose at centre half back. This is Nathan Higgins. Not too many options from this point on though. That wasn't a good option.
He's had a big day, Nathan. Thorne had no one within about 20 metres of him.
Thorne kicks down in the direction of Ridley. Not paid that mark.
Well, I thought it should have been.
Ania with a chance now. Higgins is pursuing him, and he gives away the kick.
It really hasn't been the best umpiring we've seen all year, has it?
Well, I thought that was a mark to Repacholi. He was contesting and got it a second time before it hit the ground. And that, to me, appeared to be a fair mark, not paid by umpire Repa.
Ania shooting for goal from about 40 metres on a fairly acute angle. It will be his fourth if he gets it. But he just missed.
That was pretty close, wasn't it?
It was. It started out to the left, but it came back a bit.
Bit late.
And a big bow in it.
Is that right, Ken?
Yeah, if it was
Pretty not on camera. You're describing that well with your hands. There, I know. There's Ken, but it Sadowski back into play. Mifka and Han. They've been together all day. Knocked down for Del Borello, who hugs the boundary and finds his skipper, who couldn't take it cleanly. He's got plenty of time to recover. Davies will shepherd away Ridley. Hasler runs almost a half forward. That kicks too far for Hall. And Miles from ground level to Pike to Scott. Scott tries to run past Davies, who almost brought him down. Ridley hand passes it straight to Hasler. Madafri just missed by Scott. Riggs is there. And now Hall. Scott, good tackle.
Yep.
I tell you what, Madafri wasn't missed by Scott. He's prostrate. He's just getting up now, or sitting up now.
Gee, how many times have little West Perth chip passes gone too high and made it just so easy for those Claremont defenders?
It was obvious right from the word go, Keith, wasn't it? In the early part of the first quarter, they were doing the same thing. I suppose it's pressure. It brings out the mistakes.
Paddy Madafri doesn't look too good, still down.
He might have got a kick in the shins. This is Evans now and Davies. Evans shrugs the tackle, cuts inboard. He's a will-o'-the-wisp. Miles is there, marks at centre half forward. Will kick a goal from there. No, he didn't go for it, but went looking for his forward in O'Malley. O'Connell to Cormac, and that's a brilliant sleight of hand that brings up goal number 27 and the fourth goal, and satisfaction for him.
Well, O'Connell's played well, Keith, hasn't he?
David O'Connell's played quite superb. In fact, I can't find many in the Claremont side, Wally, who at some stage today we haven't said he's played very well.
Perhaps Pike.
And Pike may be, but I mean, he's had nearly 30 possessions and
29 to be exact.
29, Keith, and when you have 29 possessions, you haven't played too badly.
No.
And of course, O'Connell and Higgins, not only their tap outs, but around the ground, they've been very effective players.
Spike hasn't played all that well, but he's had 16 kicks and 13 effective hand passes.
Yeah, well, we're going to have another bounce in the centre of the ground.
South in front at Bassendean Oval.
Yeah, that's been an absolute clinker. Look at the accurate kicking. 35 goals, 16, and South, who have been trailing by a goal for almost all the game, are now a goal in front.
And Perth at East Perth also very close. Perth just in front.
Higgins winning that knock to Ania, and in turn to Garden, now to Mitchell, and they work it out of that muddle. Ania, who really has run very hard in this final quarter, puts it out in front of Thorne. Closing on him is Del Borello. Thorne gets a hand pass of sorts away in the direction of Evans. Overrunning it was Higgins. Evans goes short, and he's picked out Cormac. Cormac, who kicked the last goal for Claremont at the 25-minute mark, can kick another at the 26-minute mark. He's just offline, but Ridley takes the mark. Whoops.
Played on.
The umpire, I think, was indicating he was still setting the mark. He's played on now, and Ania will shoot from about 25 metres and on a 45-degree angle. Well, perhaps Ania and Pike were two of the lesser players in the first half, but certainly Pike with his 29 possessions and Ania with his hard running in this quarter, both have obviously been prominent. Ania misses to the right. That's about all he's had to cheer about today.
Well, I spotted a friend on the ground, I think.
Well, I wonder West Perth go here for a ruckman. They started off the season without one, found one in Zemplis, recruited one from East Perth in Wasley, and they both have like being out for a period.
27-16 to 10-7.
I doubt if we'll see Zemplis back this year, Keith, somehow.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Here go Claremont again. Han has it. Tried to kick short. They have played some pretty ordinary football in this quarter, Claremont, as Madafri kicks short.
I suppose they could go out and buy one still. Got to the end of the month.
Might look for a few others while they're there, Keith. by a team.
Perth appear to have an abundance of ruckmen, don't they?
Are there any at Ahern's?
This is Guard to Hand, who's still got run left.
Mind you, Turnbull wouldn't be bad in their side, I don't suppose.
Hazel has it. Hooks it back towards the half-back line. Claremont again with the numbers. Guard leading in the race. Plenty of support. Mitchell back to Panizza. He'll go square. He's found Pike. Hand passes across to Hand. Hand from 50 metres. This could be another one.
Oh.
Cormac puts it onto the post.
Yes, a last-minute lunge by Joe Cormac. He was trying to shepherd the ball through and realised it wasn't going through and just tried to bring it in one hand, just failing. But early in the game, the three Claremont Rovers were absolutely superb, weren't they? And Cormac, Thorne and Evans. And Evans was the man that lifted after the other two had started brilliantly.
Good kick by Palm back into play. Riggs and Lewis. Lewis went through his hands. Quickly snapped up though by Evans. This is Peter Higgins,
Boom.
55. He goes. Off the side of the boot. Doesn't matter. That's the end of the ball game. And a brilliant victory here to Claremont. Now, a lot will depend on that game at Bassendean. If South Fremantle beat Swans, Claremont will be at the top of the table tonight. They've already got a massive percentage before this game, and they've certainly improved on that today with a 112-point victory over West Perth, as you can see. Claremont flags flying proudly as Claremont annihilate the Falcons on their home turf. Ridley booted 7 goals, Cormac 4, and O'Connell 4. John Anea kicked 3. For West Perth, their best forward was Matt Cullen, who kicked 4 goals. He played a sensational game again today. He certainly has been welcomed back with open arms by the Claremont officials after looking as though he may have retired prematurely from league football. A brilliant player is Peter Thorne. Mitchell quiet today, but nevertheless still contributed. And Ken Casellas, who was the leading possession getter on the ground.
Tony Evans of the Claremont Rover, he had a 7-kick last quarter, so he finished up with 21 kicks and 7 effective hand passes.
What about Cam Lewis, number 17?
Cam Lewis, an outstanding game in defence, 8 marks, 12 kicks and 13 effective hand passes, so 25 disposals from Cam Lewis. Joe Cormac had 18 kicks and 10 effective hand passes. Miles had 18 kicks and 6 hand passes. Panizza had 18 kicks and 4. Anea had 17 and 12. Pike had 16 kicks and 14 effective hand passes. Hand had 9 kicks but 17 effective hand passes. David O'Connell 10 kicks and 13 ruck knockouts and 6 hand passes. Higgins had 11 kicks and Ridley 11 kicks and 8 marks. O'Malley 4 marks, 11 kicks and 6 hand passes. And West Perth, Mifka had 18 and Riggs had 21, and they were the principal kick getters for West Perth.
Ken Casellas, our statistician again today. Keith, your best players.
Yes, well, it was very hard to pick best players. John Riggs, clearly West Perth's best player. Paul Mifka on a wing. Matt Cullen played a very good last quarter, I think. Malcolm Williams didn't really do enough. Derek Hall, a very promising type. He had a terrible job today, but he played pretty well. Graham Kerse, I thought, not so much for the kicks he gathered, but for the job he did when he went out onto Mitchell, who was running amok early. And generally, the West Perth players were very disappointing. For Claremont, well, you could almost name the whole side, but when the game was really up for grabs in that first half, I thought the 3 Rovers were quite outstanding. Todd Ridley, well, another good performance from him. The 2 ruckmen were superb. Miles at half-back, Lewis at half-back, one could go on, but a magnificent performance by Claremont.
That's it from Leederville Oval. Claremont home by 112 points. Hope you enjoyed our live telecast here from Leederville.